Why has Triple H been so successful? Why is Triple H running WWE better than Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard on Monday and Friday night? Long-term booking.
What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us on this Tuesday night. It is Tuesday Night Titans, episode number 41 for your March 26th, 2024. I am your host, JD from New York. As always, joined by my co-host on Tuesday nights, Mr. Andrew Baydala. What is going on this fine Tuesday, man?
It's a great Tuesday. It's a great Tuesday night.
It's a great Tuesday night. He's got his espresso. I got my
you guys
coffee.
are ready.
And we are ready for some really great discussion tonight, man. Holy shit. The wrestling world got turned upside down last night. And I know everybody is still talking about that tremendous Monday Night Raw that we got in Chicago. I wish Raw was in Chicago every week after the show we got last night. People, bro, and I don't really want to use this as a measuring stick or a gauge, but cagematch.net, you know, Tony Khan's favorite website, man, rated Raw last night, the highest rated Raw in the history of the show.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
All kidding aside, man,
How do you rate something that's continuous or something you're going to continue to digest and take the greatest? Because then what happens when the next greatest happens? Then what? Then it's the second greatest? I mean, that's why you never rate anything at 10. Anything you try, scale 1 to 10, what is it? It's a 9.5. Because what happens when you get that something that's a 9.9 or a 9.8?
Well, everybody does.
What are you
going
to do?
Man. Everybody does. The musical bands that you listen to, it's the greatest album that we've ever done, or it's the greatest show we've ever produced. It's like,
they're morons.
It's not. It's like, this is the greatest wrestling show I've ever seen. I'm like, all right. Can I give you a show to measure it up to? Because even my favorite show is not a 10 out of 10. Come on,
right.
man.
Listen, I was a huge Sopranos guy. I was a huge Breaking Bad guy, huge Sons of Anarchy guy. But I mean, I never thought that like we'd get better television than what I saw from the Sopranos. Then we got Breaking Bad and then the Sons. I mean, you know, I don't want to sit here and be like the best. You know what is the best? This is the best Tuesday night show, bar none, on the planet. Not
Tuesday.
to mention the best show in the IWC, the best debate game in the business. Look at these graphics. Come on. This type of stuff.
My guy Salrex did this.
Oh, yeah? All right. Graphics.
Yeah, he doesn't like you. He doesn't like you, man.
That's all right. Graphics sucks.
Yeah, he's still making you the egghead shirt. You know that? He's working on it.
Yeah, well, you know what? The graphics are great, but I'm just saying, if you want to invest,
this guy's an egghead over here.
If you want to invest, Mr. Egghead to you, if you want to invest in yourself, the best way to do it is this type of stuff. Stop looking like you broadcasted from a basement. Stop looking like you broadcasted from a bathroom. Stop looking like you're broadcasting from your kitchen.
I just sent this guy a screen caption of what's coming for the intro, man. What'd you think of that?
I loved it.
Wait, you have no fucking idea what's coming, man. This is by far and away. This blows my shit away. Never mind. My shit looks like fucking garbage compared to what's coming, man. The venue, forget about it, man. It's old news.
I know. Look at his camera. Look at my camera. Look at the graphics. Look at the lighting. Everything's A1. If you believe in something and you spout it out of your mouth that you're the best, you better show it. This show is the best, just like The Sopranos was the best television show in history. There you go.
I don't know, man. I might have to go Breaking Bad on that one.
Little Walter White.
Yeah. Gotta love it. Anyway, we're going to get into the discussion. We're got a lot of discussion. We're going to talk about The Rock. We're going to talk about the Easter eggs. We're going to talk about why everybody, including myself, which I know I saw your tweet earlier. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, now you're thinking that Cody's going to win the title, man. But last week I thought you said Roman was going to win the title. I'm like, so we can't go back and forth on fucking television based on what we're watching and what they're giving us, man. I know you got a lot to say on that.
First of all, I just want to give a shout out to Chaos Guardian. You do have a very nice basement. So, but at least you dress it up. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I could see your pipes or the wall or like, exposed concrete. You do it right. Anyways, I digress. Yes. I hate to like break this down for people like very simplistic, but in a simplistic way, but wrestling is weekly episodic television. So I digest what they give us weekly. And I don't have favorites. I enjoy some people. I like what some people are doing. And I like the stories. It's the word of the year that people are given and portraying and how they run with it, et cetera, et cetera. But you won't find me tattooing somebody on my body. You won't find me buying somebody else's merch that has their face or their name on it. Like I love the family above all hoodie that Roman has because it's really not wrestling. It's not. That's the type of stuff I like. But again, I like what they give me. And if it works, I'll say it works. And if it sucks, you bet your ass I'll tell you it sucks. So I don't have favorites. I have people who I've enjoyed throughout the years. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Steve Austin. These guys and girls, I could name some as well. Charlotte, Becky, Ronda, Trish, Lita, tons of others. But what I'm saying to you is like they resonated with me because of what they did with the stories they were given. But I don't sit back and root for a particular star. I root for, to borrow a term from Vince McMahon, whose name is taboo nowadays.
Who?
I root for good shit. I root for stuff that's going to entertain me. Okay. You guys and girls could die on whomever you want to die on because you love them. When I was 13 and 14 years old, I had favorites. When I was 7 and 8, I had a favorite too. But when I got older, I just started to digest what they were giving me. And if I liked it, I liked it. If it didn't, I would say this shit sucks. And we ate shit for years with WWE until they finally started to turn the page.
Yeah. A lot of people are going back and forth on this Cody Rock thing. We're going to get into that. The Easter eggs. We're going to talk some AEW as well. The Cope Open is coming back now that Adam Copeland is the TNT champion. I don't like it. Drew likes it. We'll discuss and we'll debate. We got news on Carmelo Hayes being called up to the main roster. We got news on Ronda Rousey. We got news on Bill Goldberg. We got news on, I don't want to say Jack Perry, but we talked about Jack Perry last week. There's more news on Jack Perry. And then Tony Khan finally clarifies AEW Continental Crown rules, reveals when the Continental Classic will return. I don't like it. We'll discuss that as well. And got an update on WrestleMania in Minneapolis. As you guys know, it is coming. It should be announced very shortly. Also, we got news on CM Punk.
The Egghead told you guys months ago that he was getting WrestleMania. The Egghead also told you that Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to be involved in WrestleMania.
Well, then didn't the Egghead say that Copeland was coming to AEW as well as Mercedes, but nobody listened.
The Egghead. Fucking Mr. Egghead to you, jabronis.
And then
final Egghead.
And then AEW's got a new COO in Kosha Irby. We'll talk about that as they sent out a press release today. A lot to get into, guys, so thank you very much for joining us on Tuesday night. We will have our new intro hopefully within the next week and a half, I'm hoping. So hopefully you guys can get that on your Tuesdays regularly. And we got a lot of great things working WrestleMania week. We will be in Philadelphia all week. Drew, why don't you tell them about the tailgate? I don't know what's going on with the tailgate, if there's new talents being announced or yet to be announced. I know it's going to be a big deal, so tell them what's going
on. Well, a couple things. One, I want to make an announcement. Next Tuesday, we will not be live. Unfortunately, yes. I will be traveling to Philadelphia for the week-long festivities that is WrestleMania. Shout out to Santino Marella. With the tailgate, yes. Right now there are no new talent announcements due to WWE and both WWE and All Elite Wrestling locking talent to not be able to do some things for that weekend. We did have somebody lined up. He was a Hall of Famer. He said, Drew, unfortunately, I can't do this because I'm going to be doing stuff with WWE on Saturday. He will remain nameless because I have a lot of respect for him. So we'll leave that alone. Saturday will be the talent from WWE, WCW, ECW, OVW We have Al Snow, TNA as well. We have AJ Francis, also known as Top Dollar. He also played in the NFL. AJ Francis is a dog. We have former ECW world champion, the last world champion and last television champion, the Man Beast Rhino. And we have Al Snow, who is the owner of OVW. He's a former WWF Tag Team Champion, WWF Hardcore Champion. Al's a dog. Tailgate. Get the tickets now for Saturday and Sunday. Don't forget Cal Hero, rising star over in OVW. But get your tickets now because Joe is increasing the prices due to demand. We've already had 310 people sign up. So Joe is now going to raise the prices as we get closer to the event. That's just how things operate. We've done it every year, but get them. And then Sunday, if you want to call it the main event, some are, some aren't. Myself and JD will be live on stage debating WrestleMania, reviewing WrestleMania Night 1, and having a live TNT, kind of, right then and there. Sunday in the parking lot. We're in Lincoln Financial Fields parking lot. You're not across the street at Citizens Bank. You're not down the road 75 blocks. You're not in your brother, sister's, niece's, aunt's garage. You're in the middle of Lincoln Financial Field.
There you go. Should be a great time. And as for that Tuesday where we're not going to be live, I am working to maybe get us live on Thursday afternoon. So you guys will get a notification on that if it does happen. I will be staying with Drew in Philly on Thursday going into Friday. We're doing a bunch of festivities Thursday night, and I'm thinking we'll do a live TNT in person from the Airbnb on Thursday afternoon. So I will let you guys know what's going on there. And then obviously from there, we're going to dinner and then The Undertaker and then Old Fashions. And then I have House of Glory on Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. So if you guys are going to be in Philly and want to go see Mustafa Ali and Amazing Red go one-on-one, that's where you do it. Mustafa Ali. Sorry.
Better get that right before you commentate.
I know. I made a boo-boo several times at the last show. So it is
Shout
what
out
it
to
is.
Ali. He's killing it.
Yes, so make sure you guys go get your tickets to the HOG show. Still general admission available. Ali and Red, one time only, first time ever, last time ever. It's going to be an amazing spectacle. Go get your tickets today. And then, obviously, WrestleMania weekend, tailgate. Hopefully we'll see you guys there.
We're serving all Yingling products for those who are 21 plus. The menu, Joe, let me take a sneak peek. It's unbelievable. You get all food, drinks, water, soda, if that's what you're into. I know I'll have some waters myself. Autographs, pictures, whatever you want. It's all included in the per ticket price. It's all included. You're not going to find this tailgate anywhere else. I love Jimmy Seafood. Good people. But you're not going to get free talent. Mania Club, good people. But their tailgate's not going to compare. I'm just telling you. Good people, but this is the tailgate to be at. I don't need to sell you on anything else. We've done 4 or 5 of these. They've all sold out. So if you want to join us, join us. We'd love to have you.
There you go. And then follow us on socials, guys, at JD from NY206 and at Andrew Baydala on X. And hit that subscribe button down below. And please hit that thumbs up. We got 433 likes already, 2,200 people in here and still counting. Let's get that thumbs up number up. Let's try for 1,000 likes today on TNT. Drew, like always, I'll leave it up to you on where we are going to navigate tonight's show. What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's talk about what we saw last night to end Monday Night Raw. And
I loved Raw. I thought Raw was fucking unbelievable last night. That's a lot coming from me because you guys know I have a fucking massive love-hate relationship with this show.
You'd have to be an absolute moron to not enjoy that show. I mean, anybody who has a pulse enjoyed that show. It was well written. It was well formatted. And everything just hit. They left you. The Rock seems to have, Dwayne The Rock Johnson seems to have taken what he does in Hollywood with Seven Bucks Production and the other, Hollywood movie companies and entertainment companies that he's worked with, and himself and Brian Gewirtz have really brought that into the WWE fold. The way that they opened Raw and then the way that they closed it was like a short film. Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, the crickets, bro. I don't hear all the Triple H naysayers anymore. What happened?
Well,
where are they? Are they silent tonight? I don't know.
You know what's funny about Triple H, right? We haven't seen much of Triple H.
No.
I make a bold prediction. After WrestleMania 40, you're going to see Triple H.
I hope so. I mean, that's the glaring pothole in the story, but I'm not really thinking about that right now after what we got last night. And we'll start from the top, Drew, on Monday Night Raw. Cody comes out. He's on his way to cutting a very emphatic promo. I'm like, all right, here we go. Cody's going to ramp it up. He's going to give us that anger, a little bit of anger in him. And then all of a sudden, I didn't know. So I was genuinely surprised. I was sitting back on my couch or drinking my coffee, and I jump up and like, holy shit, he's actually here. I didn't think he was going to be there because we were all prone to the advertisements. Oh, Rock's going to be in New York City. He's going to be at the Barclays Center. I didn't think he was going to be in Chicago. So that was quite the surprise. How did you think, we'll start there, how did you think that came off with him being a genuine surprise to a lot of people last night on Raw?
I thought it came off great. I mean, I thought when Rock's music hit, you know, you said you wish that Raw could be at the Allstate Arena every Monday.
Yeah.
And while the acoustics in there are fantastic, the building is one of a kind. If you haven't seen an event there, you should. I do agree Raw would be great there, but I love the fact that they go to, you know, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Brooklyn. They kind of have their rotation down, Connecticut, all that other stuff on the road. The final stops to WrestleMania. But yeah, the Rock surprise was absolutely fantastic. And that's one of the few times where you're actually happy the surprise didn't get spoiled, because that reaction was so real and guttural. It was that like, when he came out, you don't really get that from people anymore because everything's spoiled.
Are we already starting in the chat? Edward, Rock, book the show, laughing emoji. I mean, why are we neglecting Triple H all of this? I don't understand the Triple H hate. Like, I mean, do you want Vince back? Like, I don't really understand where you guys are coming from, man.
Well, I mean, I'll say this, you know, The Rock, I'm just checking something here because you know, my biggest thing is like, I'm the nicest guy in the world, and I will, you know, always treat you with respect and everything else like that. But if you're wrong, I'm going to say you're wrong. And I can tell you that Triple H, or I should say The Rock, did not write this entire show. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, DJ and Brian Gewirtz, they 100% oversee anything that The Rock DJ is a part of. You know, that's a given. But I can tell you that Michael Hayes and somebody who I enjoyed very much as a performer, Bobby Roode, were also involved in that opening segment.
There you go.
So there
Good
you
to
go.
see Bobby Roode getting some of that shine there. But Cody was on his way to cutting a very emphatic promo. He was about to ramp it up. The Rock comes out. His entrance is unbelievable. The theme music, the acoustics, the special effects, the lightning. I'm just wondering what they got planned for him at WrestleMania if his entrance is already fucking this epic just on a regular Raw. But then we get to Rock getting in the ring. He stands there. The crowd's going crazy. This is awesome. No words being spoken. Crowd is electric. He puts his hands up. He puts his hands behind his back. He leans into Cody and whispers something into his ear. Some people on social media kind of already knew. The sleuths online knew what he said. A lot of the narrative was, tonight, Cody, I'm going to make you bleed. So whatever Rock said to him, away from the microphone, Cody had this distressed, concerned look on his face. Rock walked away, and that was the end of the segment. Now, you know, in my typical New York style behavior and attitude, Drew, I was surprised at how refrained I was. I would have shit all over this if this was Vince McMahon. I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. We got these guys, they don't say a fucking word, and then he leaves the ring and nothing is forwarded. Then we got to wait till next week to figure out what the fuck he said. So I said carefully on social media, I'm like, all right, I loved that The Rock is here, number one. And number two, we waited all this time for them in the ring one-on-one, and this guy just says nothing and leaves 15,000 plus people hanging with no verbal dialogue at all. I'm going to give it time to see if they play it out throughout the rest of the show. I said
You
those
gave
words.
something time?
Yes, I said it online. I said it on X last night. I'm gonna wait to see if they play it out through the rest of the show. I'm not gonna, you know, jump to conclusions right away. And you know, normally, Drew.
Hey,
what?
It's called
I'm
growth.
growing up. Yes.
Who would have thought? I mean, who would have thought?
I'm growing up, man. So under the Vince McMahon era, this is something that they usually do. It's like, all right, man, wait till next week or wait till Friday or whatever the case may be. But
that's a good point.
Throughout the rest of the show, you know, it was Mackenzie Mitchell who, right after the segment was over, went to Dwayne and said, Rock, what'd you say to Cody? He had this look on his face. Do you mind telling us what you said to him? And then Rock, in a prick-like attitude, why don't you go ask Cody Rhodes? I don't give a shit. Go ask Cody. And then it was, like you said, a storyline throughout the show. Then they asked Cody, do you mind divulging what The Rock told you? And he said, I don't really want to utter what he told me. It's not a concern right now. I don't want to repeat it. And then he walks away.
So I tried to break this down. I only watched it for like, I would say, you know, like 3 minutes, and I watched it a bunch of times, and I'm very good at lip reading. And what I thought it said was, that is something you'll never be. So I was very close, but if you watched back, because the verbiage and the like the mannerisms from the mouth and everything else, tonight I'm going to make you bleed is very close to that you'll never be.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand why Cody wouldn't say, like, you know, Rock's making idle threats or something like that. Like, you could have elaborated a little bit, but again, I the whole show revolving around it was very well done. It was.
So we got that, and then it gets to the end of the show, and I start asking myself questions. I'm like, well, why is Jey Uso and Shinsuke Nakamura in the main event? I'm like, what are we doing here? Something clearly has got to happen. So we get to about 10:52 Eastern time, and the match ends. I'm like, we got a whole 8 minutes. Something's going down here. I don't know what exactly it is, but something's going down. So then we get McIntyre out there. Cody's out there. The bloodline and Cody are fighting. Seth is out there. He gets DDT'd into oblivion on the outside. And then we get Jimmy Uso and Cody fighting to the back. And then Solo appears, and Cody's fighting Jimmy and Solo off 2-on-1. And then all of a sudden we see Dwayne, and then the beatdown happens. And he just beats Cody all over the backstage area. Apparently, WWE omitted the headshot with the trash can because of the concussion protocols. They didn't really want that visible on the YouTube channel. I read that today. They cut that piece of it out. He threw a trash can right at Cody's head. He dumped a toolbox on his head. He's beating him up, punching him, kicking him. The visual, Drew, of him being thrown to the outside in front of his own bus in the pouring Chicago rain at 11 o'clock, or 10 o'clock Central, their time, was a beautiful fucking sight, man. I don't know what, if they planned for that to happen, but holy shit, man. The rain and the visual of him being beaten up and his suit ripped and him soaking wet was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I had a buddy who called me midway through the show. Maybe it was like 8:45 my time, so it would have been 9:45 Eastern time. And he said, "Can I go to bed?" And I said, "No." He said, "Why?" I said, "No." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because there's something at the end of the show that nobody knows that's happening." And I would stay up. And I didn't know what it was, but, it was something that they didn't want out on the internet. So kudos to them. And the segment was so well done. I was glad I stayed up. I don't think that I have ever been more glued to a Monday Night Raw in a very long time, whether it was the Punk Drew Seth segment, the opening segment, the Bronson Reed and Sami Zayn match, and then this. When we got to the main event, like you said, it was Naka and Jay. I thought to myself, man, this would be an opportune time for the Bloodline and Dwayne. And I was just like, yeah, but everybody started to come out and all this other stuff. And then I was like, maybe not. Then all of a sudden, there he was. And just the visuals, the words that, DJ used, just everything was fantastic. The Rock character, this evil Rock final boss stuff. Everybody wants the Rock to turn on Roman at WrestleMania. And I ask you why. And I tell you, I demand you to stack marbles on the freeway, because this character is something we haven't seen in WWE in a very long time. Roman is like the Mafia Don who just sits in his perch and watches everything happen. And The Rock is like the consigliere who goes out and he handles all the dirty business right now and gets bloody and beats people down and talks all this shit and backs it up. He's the guy who handles the business while the Don sits up in the penthouse and kind of watches everything happen. It's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah, man. We talk about the element of surprise with Rock showing up unexpectedly last night, and we get that whole 3-hour show storyline weaved into the program last night. Why was last night's angle, before we get into what else happened in that segment, because there's a bunch of stuff I really want to kind of dissect. Why was the segment last night, the ending of Raw, so effective outside the surprise of The Rock? The way I look at it is, and I don't want to sit here and tell you WWE television has been bad, but I will tell you, and I know I have a lot of people telling me, JD, you're being too hard on it, blah, blah, blah. But I've been doing this a very long time, and I watch a lot of WWE programming, and some of these shows, especially on Friday, and it has been on Monday as well, don't feel like WrestleMania-esque. They don't really feel grand. They don't feel big. Was it because the shows have been lacking for the last several weeks that this angle, the way that it exploded last night, everybody just went crazy? Or are people really just fucking excited to see The Rock at WrestleMania, man? What type of dynamic are we looking at here?
No. So here's the deal. And this has been this way for a very long time now. Since WrestleMania, 31? You do not have to buy pay-per-view anymore. You can. You smoke cigarettes backwards if you do buy pay-per-views for WWE. Because you like that? You have no brain cells because you don't need to. You just get the peacock, So they don't have to sell you on pay-per-views anymore. So what they do is, and we're in a very instantaneous gratification society. We're in a what have you done for me lately society, and we're in a here and now society. No one remembers besides the nerds what happened 5-6 weeks ago. So people have been complaining about the build, this and that, all this other bullshit. And we're 2 weeks out. We're less than 14 days away from WrestleMania, 13 or whatever it is. We're 12. And they hit. Like, who doesn't want to see that match now? Absolutely nobody. Everybody wants to see this match. Everybody and their mother wants to see this match. And they have next week to build even more. And that's what it is, because people can retain that. The retention is fine for 2 weeks. That's what they're doing. Becky and Rhea went into full gear, not the AEW pay-per-view. Their feud went into full gear. Like they completely went to a different level because they're adding different elements to it, because 14 days is enough for people to retain. And then they'll show you the video package before the match, just in case you sons of bitches forgot. That's all this is. It's been WWE's MO for the past 9 years now. Nothing's changed. They don't have to sell the pay-per-view. You're already there. Like I said, if you're buying pay-per-views, you smoke cigarettes backwards. Seek help.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from that, but I also don't want you to put down the people that do want some explanation on things that WWE has not covered over the last 5 or 6 weeks, and I don't want them to just gloss over it and then think that we're fucking stupid as if we didn't see something happen when they didn't acknowledge it. It's like,
What didn't they acknowledge, though?
I'm not saying, for the most part, The Rock has filled in all the logic gaps, but you still look at Cody. He's been basically a bitch. I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat anything. This guy's been treated like a fucking bitch, bro. I don't give a shit.
SmackDown, when he's on Raw, which is interesting, when he's on Raw, they kind of like pull the leash back, and Cody was killing it in that opening segment before The Rock came out.
That's the last 2 weeks. Don't give him too much credit, because 2 weeks ago he was fucking crying in front of Michael Cole, and then after the report came out that everybody's got to go PG, then WWE's like, all right, we'll make these idiots, with the report. And then Cody's coming out and using 3 curse words in one promo.
Well, I've said this before. I think the crying element and the emotional stuff worked for a little bit, but now people are like, all right, dude, stop crying on our television. We get it. Not to mention, maybe the kids and some of the chicks and some dudes like it, and they're like, that's my guy. But a lot of like the 18 to 49 demo is probably sitting back being like, man, stop crying on my television. Go whoop some ass. Like, you're supposed to be like my, like this superhero, quote unquote. You're supposed to be this badass. Like, you're going to say, what are you going to cry in the match? You going to cry? You going to cry? You going to sit here and cry when the bell rings? Like, no, thanks. So I think they've kind of realized that, and they're like, all right, whatever. Like, we got to fix this. So let's give Cody an edge. Let's make him angry. Let's make him hungry again. That way we can build him back up. And before last night, I would have told you that Cody's probably not winning the world championship or the undisputed championship at WrestleMania. But the way that segment went off the air and the little Easter eggs of Cena and Austin.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I said the same thing last night when I was live for my Raw post show. We'll get into those little details in just a second. But yes, I do believe Cody's been treated like a bitch. I'm tired of the crying myself. I think on Friday, with what he did, asking for a handshake against Roman Reigns or from Roman Reigns when he's battling the bloodline going into WrestleMania was absolutely ludicrous. People are trying to tell me, oh, well, Roman asked for a handshake last year. It's only mind games from Cody this year. I'm like, no, fuck mind games. It's about time you fucking go scorched earth and kick some ass now. Fuck the mind games.
It's a great in your house from Philadelphia. But yeah, no more mind games. I agree with you. I will tell you this. I think Cody is now going to take the approach of no more Mr. Nice Guy. I tried to be nice. I tried to be your typical white meat babyface. He's not going to say those words.
He was left in his own blood. I hope so.
But he tried to shake Roman's hand on Friday. Now he got laid out in his own blood in front of his bus, all that other stuff. Like, he's going to have to turn it up, and he's going to have, I tried to play nice. I tried to be Mr. Nice Guy. That guy is dead. At WrestleMania on Sunday, I am coming for everything that you have. I'm taking your family down brick by brick, pillar by pillar, and then I will hold your undisputed WWE Championship above my head while your body is under my foot. Roman Reigns, your reign is done. There you go.
I would have loved to see Rock just pour a bottle of Cody's vodka all over him.
That would have been dope. I like that.
Something,
by
man.
the way, your vodka's trash.
Yeah, something along those lines. I mean, I'm just fantasy booking there. But the way the rest of the segment went off was he was beating up Cody, and we'll start here, Drew. In the background, I noticed this almost immediately. I'm like, there's no WrestleMania branding in this entire backstage, outside parking lot brawl between Rock and Cody. There was a production truck with no WrestleMania branding and simply just John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin on the truck. No Logan Paul, no Seth Rollins, no Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, nobody, man. Just those two. And a lot of people are like, this is an Easter egg. This is an inside scoop. WrestleVotes even tweeted something out. This is not done by fucking coincidence, man.
There's so many trucks that WWE has, to touch on this real quick. There's so many trucks that WWE has. They could have had the WrestleMania truck there. They could have had everything. They also, if you go back and watch it, there was a quick shot of Trish, and then they cut over to where you couldn't see her anymore. And the only two mugs you saw were Cena and Austin. It was done by design. Yes.
I don't know what roles they're going to play, but the rumor is that Austin and Cena do have some sort of role, or will have some sort of role at WrestleMania this year. And people are coming up with their conspiracy theories and their narratives about the Avengers. Everybody's mentioning the Avengers and the whole movie-like cinema that WWE's been going with since the very beginning of this WrestleMania build. The movie big-budget trailers that they've been putting out, even with the tag team match before it was announced. They just went all in on this WrestleMania build with this cinema-like atmosphere. Could they be alluding to something like that, Drew? Or are we looking at Cody really going into the biggest adversity of his entire life on Sunday with nobody but Seth Rollins? I mean, Seth Rollins might not even be there because of what he has to deal with Drew McIntyre. Who else is there to help Cody? Jey Uso's there, but he's going to need more than Jey Uso, man. Are we looking at Stone Cold and John Cena coming back, the fucking ghost of Dwayne Johnson's past, coming back to help Cody and help the future of the company for WWE?
Well, I will say this. I believe that, yes, the ghost, if you want to call them that, you know, Rock and Austin is like bread and butter. I mean, they just go together. So that's going to absolutely happen, I believe. I have a funny feeling that Austin, Cena, Taker, not Taker in the Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns match, but I feel like they're all going to be involved in WrestleMania 40. It's 40 years. So realistically, if that's where you get Austin and Cena, so be it. But I have a funny feeling like 40 years of WrestleMania, they're going to do something very reminiscent of the 30 years of WrestleMania. I don't know what stars. I don't know if Hogan's going to be there, blah, blah, blah. But I will say that, yes, I don't know the Avengers. Like, I don't know any of that stuff. I know there's obviously good versus evil, and there's bad guys, and there's Thanos and all that other stuff. But I've never seen the movies. But I could tell you that the numbers game leads me to believe that, yes, The Rock, his biggest rival is Stone Cold Steve Austin, okay? DJ and Stone Cold have a very long history. That just fits. John Cena has had a very long rivalry with The Rock and with Roman, so that fits. And at the end of the day, it's taking everything away from that family. And Steve Austin was a huge Dusty guy. So, again, this all makes sense. And for the knuckleheads that were like, and I loved it because I was like, oh, you guys got my back. They were like, I'm starting to believe Drew. Where was Seth? Seth got destroyed before this stuff happened by Drew McIntyre. So that's why he wasn't out trying to help Cody. Now, don't get me wrong. It was a very long time, but they did make reference and they did show you that Seth was laid out beforehand.
Yes, and that's the next point I want to make. Listen, going back to the Austin and Cena thing, if they overbooked it, like I wouldn't even mind if it was overbooked because see, you're going to involve star power like that, man. I want the biggest and best cinema, most overbooked fucking carny garbage you could give me, man. I'm going to enjoy every second of that. I mean, it just fits with the 40 years of WrestleMania, and it would be a perfect setting, and it would just be so fitting for Cody's ascent to the throne, per se. But going back to what else happened in that ending to the Raw show last night, Rock beat him up. He basically laid him out in front of his bus, bloodied, pulled off his weight belt. Mama Rose was on the weight belt, and he wiped Cody's blood all over the weight belt. You know, this is what happens when you fuck with the final boss. I know a lot
I want to say something. I hate to cut you off, but guys and girls in the chat, I just want to make this, and to you as well, JD. There is no chance in hell, pun intended, that Dustin Rhodes is shown on television or involved in the storyline for WrestleMania.
I mean, some people are mentioning MJF too. You guys got to cut the shit out, really.
Yeah,
Stop.
I mean, will Dustin be there backstage, or will Dustin, be somewhere in a suite? Yeah, probably, but he's not going to be shown on camera.
So he was bloodied at the end of the show in front of his bus, and a lot of people are mentioning these two different things, bro, and I want to bring these things to your attention. Number one, this match that's happening on night one, it's Seth and Cody versus Roman and Rock. It certainly feels after last night, and we talked about this weeks ago, that it should have been Cody and Rock, because that's exactly the way it feels. And if it did go to Rock and Cody, it would have made zero difference on how we get to night two. It would basically play out the same way, because I don't see Cody and Seth Rollins winning on night one in that tag team match. But the only reason why it didn't happen is because I feel like I don't think WWE wants to put The Rock in a situation where it's in a one-on-one match and he has to carry the match all by himself. I think that they are a little bit more comfortable with Roman doing most of the work and Rock coming and doing his big spots, and that's why the tag team match is happening. No, why?
That's not it. Okay, let's just play the scenario out, because I'm with you. I would have loved to have seen Cody versus Rock one-on-one, with the implication being, hey, if I win, bloodline rules. If you win, we're all banned. You can't have either of those men take an L on Saturday, because it weakens them. Cody beats Rock, and then he goes to beat Roman. Jesus Christ. Like, think about that for a second.
Cody wouldn't have beaten The Rock.
So then you're going to beat Cody on his way to beating Roman? No. Seth is going to take the L. That's why he's there. And you're right for some of the things you said. Roman's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. But I do think The Rock's going to get in there and do his thing. And I think The Rock's going to have some time in there. Because I think, that's why he's there. But again, they're building to Rock and Cody at SummerSlam. That's happening. By hook, if Cody's holding the championship, so be it. If he's not, whatever. They're saving that match for another PLE so they could sell another 70,000 tickets.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not giving that to you on Saturday, because none of those men could afford to take an L on their way to Sunday and past. That's why.
Yeah,
Seth is your fall guy.
The best point you made there was the fact that Cody and Rock at SummerSlam, or maybe Saudi, or whichever way they want to go about it. But if that happens, I'm going to go back to the point I wanted to make just maybe a couple minutes ago. Whatever we got out of last night's ending, it gave you three things that are going to happen, or I should say not going to happen at WrestleMania. Cody is not going to be betrayed by Seth Rollins, and The Rock is not going to betray Roman Reigns. Those two things I could tell you right now, based on what we got last night, are not going to happen. And then number three, I think it's pretty solidified that after last night, Cody Rhodes is winning the World Heavyweight Championship. Three things.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, again, given what we were given last night, Cody, in my opinion, will be walking out of Philadelphia with the championship. The story will, be completed, whatever. I just hope y'all stay on for the next chapters after the story where he's holding the championship, because that's very important. So make sure you guys stay on for all you, Cody fans who have been wanting and needing this. It'll be a great moment. I will love to be there. I might even stay for Raw if he does win the championship, because I want to see that celebration and that speech on Raw if it happens the night after WrestleMania. I would agree with you that there's a lot of money to be made with The Rock staying in the bloodline, and I don't see him turning on Roman. That's why I think we get a whole overbooked insanity on night two, where we get Austin, Cena, all this other stuff, where they come out and they help even the odds. And I wouldn't be surprised if you go to Saudi in an 8-man tag, Steve, Cena, Cody, Seth against The Rock, Roman, Solo, and maybe Drew, I don't know, or maybe Solo, I don't know, but that's where I think we're headed. Could I see them not having Cena and Austin involved in Saudi? Sure. But I have a funny feeling that we are going to get the odds evened at WrestleMania with some legends. And I do believe they both are Steve Austin and John Cena.
I hope that's the case. The other thing that a lot of people are talking about, and it's not only stemming from what we got with The Rock, because The Rock has been bringing that brash attitude to WWE TV. He's bringing that level of TV 14 with, the foul language and the profanity and just the attitude. I love it. I wish that was WWE TV every week. But WWE right now, outside of that, is not really featuring anything TV 14 related. We got the CM Punk stuff last night, which added to everybody's discussion this morning about what WWE is going to do possibly when they go to Netflix. Punk was unscripted last night. So was McIntyre, so was Rollins. They were only given bullet points, which I'll go over in a second. But I ask you, Drew, are we on the verge of potentially, with WWE Raw going to Netflix, possibly revisiting a new era of WWE? Not TV 14 per se. I've seen some people using the word Renaissance era on social media today. Are we going into a different era where things are going to be a little bit more realistic, a little bit more humanized, instead of the overproduced and micromanaged WWE that we got when Vince was in charge?
Yes. I do believe that once WWE heads to Netflix, you will see a lot more edgier programming. But you could stop saying that this is the Attitude Era revisited, because that's never happening ever again. We are not getting hoes. We're not getting bra and panty. We're not getting pimps. We're not getting human sacrifices.
Oh, man.
We're not having live birth celebrations.
We're not getting, it's the first thing he said. We're not getting hoes.
Those days are done. So we could stop. I know everybody loves the Attitude Era, but you really don't if you go back and watch it. It was very fitting for the time, but other than that, it was really bad. It was really, and I'm not talking about like bad, like PG or like PC or anything else like that. A lot of the shit was terrible. Steve Austin and The Rock and Triple H and Foley and The Undertaker really held that stuff together with good matches, but it was some of the worst shit ever. We just enjoyed it because it was our childhood. Everybody would walk around school telling everybody to suck it, suck it, suck it, and flipping off people because Stone Cold Steve Austin was doing it. But I'm telling you, the Attitude Era will never be revisited, ever.
What about the inclusion last night of blood? WWE did not shy away from the blood. They shot the blood on Cody's face. They pictured the blood on Cody's face on WWE Shop. Now, normally they don't really do that. And another discussion got started today. Well, people were comparing, the use of blood in AEW, and that side was making fun of the WWE fan. Oh my God, man, blood, it makes the television so great, all this other shit. But I said today to some fucking geek online, why are we comparing blood and the usage of color on both television shows? The thing is, AEW, when they do it, is fine, but they over-abuse it. That's the fucking problem. When WWE does something like they did last night, and we don't usually see it, just like when we see Ricochet pull out a Canadian Destroyer or a standing Spanish Fly or a fucking whatever, in his match, we don't usually see that type of wrestling on WWE TV. We don't see color on WWE TV. So when they do it, it's a little bit more impactful. What do you got to say to that group of people arguing about who uses color best and when they use it? It's fucking stupid.
Yeah. I will say that when you start to overdo things and when you see them on a weekly and consistent basis, the impact is lessened. It doesn't matter what it is. Truthfully, it doesn't. It doesn't matter if it's blood. It doesn't matter if it's thumbtacks. It doesn't matter if it's flaming tables. It doesn't matter if it's glass. It doesn't matter if it's bra and panties. It doesn't matter if it's whatever. Truthfully, when you do it week after week after week after week, it loses its impact and it loses its unpredictability, grasping moment. So WWE doing that shot was something that people were like, wow, look at this, all that up, because they don't do it. And when you don't do things like that on a weekly consistent basis, or even a quarterly basis, when you do it, it has a far bigger impact and far bigger meaning. And it also helps elevate a story, or it helps, shine light, really bump up what they're trying to do. It adds some seasoning on what they're doing. And that's what it's made to be used for. When you overexpose things and you overdo things, when you do when Jeff Hardy first did the Swanton Bomb, everyone's like, holy shit. And then now everybody does it. The same thing, super kicks and all this other stuff. Like, again, everything will start to lose its impact and it will start to fall on deaf ears and blind eyes when you do it week after week, month after month. So AEW used a ton of blood and people started to be like, yeah, well, it's just AEW, blood and guts. Here we are. And WWE didn't. So when they do it every once in a while, people are like, holy shit. I still think blood has a very significant impact in the business. And AEW could still use it to its advantage if they toned it down a little bit in terms of its overall usage weekly.
Absolutely. I think they should tone it down. I like the usage of color on television, especially in pro wrestling, where it's a scripted environment. But like you said, the most important thing that you said is that they're using it for the effect of the story. And that's the exact thing that they did last night. They're using Cody's blood to tell the next chapter of his story here on the road to WrestleMania, because this is going to be the turning point. He's going to look at this footage and he's going to look at himself in the mirror and say, I got to fucking fight now. No more crying, no more bullshit, no more shaking hands. Cody's going to look at himself and say, you want to fucking fight? Let's fight. And that was the usage of blood last night.
Yeah, nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Yes. Simple.
There you go.
We don't need weapons. We don't need kendo sticks every week. We don't need thumbtacks every week, Tony. Stop. Right. Like that's we don't need Moxley bleeding every week. I get it. Some people do say, I like when there's blood every week because it's supposed to depict fighting between two combatants. Great. That's fine. But we all know pro wrestling is scripted. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah, I've said it for months on end here. Wins and losses in professional wrestling don't matter.
Yeah, what about the rankings, man? Where are they at?
Stupid.
We're gonna
get that since day one.
We're gonna get into that stuff a little bit later, but I want to move on to the CM Punk stuff. The whole TV 14 PG discussion. Is WWE moving to a new era, the Attitude Era, all this other shit? But
before you move on to this, I want you guys to understand, and girls, that The Rock told you what he was going to do and did it. What this did was add something that was so desperately needed. Because there was nothing. There was no juice to this Rock and Cody stuff. It was just, you took my moment. You're a glorified Hollywood star who just comes back to take all the spotlight. There was nothing. Now, Cody has a reason to be angry. And Cody is now not only trying to finish one chapter, but he needs to slay the dragon that is The Rock, the final boss. And he won't on Saturday. That's the story.
Yeah, and like you said, Rock basically told you exactly what he was going to do, and half of his prophecy was fulfilled last night. The only thing is he's going to do it again and then hand the belt to Cody's mom. That's it. He got half of it done. CM Punk, he was on last night's show from Chicago in the Allstate Arena. I want to start with this, and I know you mentioned CM Punk being a beast. Man, he's been gone for several weeks now with the biceps injury. And he shows up on television, man. There is just a different feeling when Punk is on television, man. He needs to be back on TV tomorrow. I can't wait for him to be back, man. The show is just elevated when he's there, no matter what he's doing. I'm glad that WWE found a role for him in WrestleMania this year, and they're using it perfectly to kind of weave him into the McIntyre Rollins situation where he's got problems with both, and they both have a problem with him. And he's going to be on commentary, man. And I love the way that they weaved both of them basically saying, I want this guy who I can't fucking stand to call my crowning moment at WrestleMania, man. Go fuck yourself. I love it, man. I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, CM Punk was on one last night. And when he's on anybody's television, their product is, in my opinion, 10 times better. When he's not overly scripted. And I don't think Punk's been overly scripted since he's came back. So
outside that first promo, that introductory promo after Survivor Series. I'm home.
Don't get me started with you. So
he normalized after that.
Well, again, I mean, we can't give you guys everything in one shot. I mean,
I know.
I'm just saying. So, but we digress. Yeah, CM Punk. Again, for all you people that sit back and hate him and all this other stuff, I don't understand where the hate comes from. He genuinely loves the business, he being CM Punk, and what a shame that he is no longer in AEW, but it's WWE's gain, truthfully.
It is, and it's a shame that he's missing WrestleMania because I wonder how changed WrestleMania direction would be if he was actually wrestling Seth Rollins at WrestleMania this year. That's something that we're going to look back on years after this year is over and be like, what if, man? What if Punk didn't get hurt? Where would we be right now? That's a huge topic for discussion right there on a different day.
I can't wait to see what Punk does at this year's SummerSlam. I really cannot, because
hopefully he's back.
He will be. I would assume he's, it's later in August. I mean, it's like the first week, but I what assuming does, but I do believe he will be back for SummerSlam. I wouldn't even rule him out of Money in the Bank. I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't.
But he was on last night with Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. Three of them cut a unbelievable segment together. They made magic together, and there is backstage news on this segment and promo. The buzzworthy promo saw each man taking shots at one another, says Fightful. It had a much more loose feeling, and if those in WWE are to be believed, it was as scripted as many others we've seen. This would seem obvious in the past, but even some of the most emotional promos that many thought weren't scripted ended up being scripted word for word. Instead, the claim internally is that there was a general outline and are told that the talent knew they were all going to just go for it and see what happens. The promo was listed as one segment and was produced by Adam Pearce. As there was physicality between Rollins and McIntyre, we're told that the WWE production wasn't anticipating CM Punk's line where he cursed, and there was a memo sent to the talent recently that discouraged him from swearing on the air. We haven't heard of any issues backstage after the promos as it relates to the heat or anything of that sort towards Punk, and things have continued to appear well with Punk in WWE. Well, I'll go back to this, Drew. It says that the talent knew what they were going to do, and they just went for it, and they wanted to see what happens as a result. That usually results in the best television.
Absolutely. When talent isn't overscripted, overproduced, it's always better TV. It's organic. First of all, most of these guys and girls are very quick-witted. They've been doing this for a while. That's why some of them are superstars, because they can cut a promo like no one's business on a drop of a dime. And they're, again, you could see when you swim with sharks, you got to be able to feast. And CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins can all feast. They could all swim with sharks. So that's why this segment was fantastic, because they could all bang, 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 fire off things right back at each other. It was great.
Yeah, McIntyre is doing unbelievable work right now. I don't know where he has conjured up this attitude, but everything he does is just absolutely hitting at a level that it previously wasn't. On Raw, he said something about Punk's biceps. He mentioned Punk being in rehab, yet he doesn't drink or smoke. He had both of his T-shirts on and ripped his shirts off to kind of reveal to CM Punk that he's got this merch with Punk's liking and image on it. And Punk got back at him. I don't need to put another man's name on a T-shirt to sell it. And McIntyre was actually at Mindy's Bakery earlier in the day and filmed himself in front of the business that was closed on Monday and even shit on Punk's favorite bakery in Chicago. So whatever he's doing right now is absolutely just hitting at a different level. In regards to Punk, his inclusion now at WrestleMania, Drew, is a special commentator. How do you feel about that? I look at it as, well, you're not going to have CM Punk, not appear at WrestleMania, and his biggest asset is his voice. So why don't you use him at something that he's always bragged about being better than everybody else at on commentary?
Well, yes, but the other caveat to that is just simply this. When you have CM Punk as a referee in that match, the focus will solely be on CM Punk and what he's going to do, which takes away from that match, which is something that nor CM Punk nor WWE wants to do. They want the match to be about the two stars that are there. And Drew McIntyre has earned that right, in my opinion, the way he's conducted his business the past couple of months with Seth Rollins. Now, do we get that match at its, full capacity? I'm not sure. I mean, Damian Priest has been very quiet with that Money in the Bank briefcase, and that's normally when WWE is letting you know he's cashing in or she's cashing in. When they're overly quiet, they haven't made a lot of mention of it. Priest hasn't been teasing it as of late. That's when WWE likes to do it, because you have forgotten about it a little bit. Because look over here, look over there. The Rock, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, blah, 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 Roman Reigns. Drew McIntyre has not been a focal point, Damian Priest has not been a focal point of anything recently with that briefcase. So I'm just saying, don't know if we're going to get it, but the only reason Punk isn't the referee in that match, back to the original point, is because it takes away from the match. Punk on commentary brings a lot of added stuff. You get his entrance and you get to hear him.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that's the reason why Punk is not the referee. Absolutely. I would actually prefer him as a commentator instead of the referee. I think when you get to that point, it just convolutes things and it overbooks things. And I think the last time McIntyre and Rollins were in the ring, they had a great match in Saudi. I would like to see that again on WrestleMania stage. But going back to what you mentioned before, Drew, in regards to CM Punk, I know you mentioned on social media in regards to Punk that he laid out seeds. He planted some seeds in that promo. He mentioned Dwayne. Dwayne hasn't said anything about Punk, and he was surprised, Punk, that Dwayne didn't mention him. But, you know, Roman's mentioned Punk. McIntyre's mentioned Punk. Rollins has mentioned Punk. And Punk is not going to be back on TV until in an active role competitively till the end of the summer. So if you're naming those three guys, did they just line up CM Punk's next three opponents that are going to take him from when he comes back all the way through WrestleMania season in 2025?
100%. 100%. If it's me, I do, Punk and Drew. If Drew, ends up re-signing at SummerSlam.
Oh, he has to win the World Championship at WrestleMania.
Who?
McIntyre. He has to.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm telling you right now, I'll make a bold prediction. Drew McIntyre wins. Damian Priest cashes in and CM Punk laughs and walks right back through the curtain.
This Priest thing is going to fucking throw people for a loop, man. Do you honestly think that Priest cashing in this current landscape at the top of the WWE card with the star power that they have right now, does anybody want to see Damian Priest as world champion?
I'm just saying, don't get me wrong. I would love to see Drew McIntyre get that moment.
And that's no knock on Priest. Priest has done great work, but I mean, it's just the fucking way of the beast here. Yeah, with Punk and McIntyre and Rollins and Cody on the same brand. Does anybody want to see this guy hold the world championship? I don't think so.
But what I'm saying is that the money is in Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, and Punk's not ready for another 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, Drew celebrating over CM Punk and all this other stuff. Maybe Punk hits him with not over him, but celebrating while Punk's on commentary and calling him a has-been. Or maybe even Drew antagonizes CM Punk while he's on commentary after he wins and Punk gets up, hits him, chair, whatever. And then Priest comes out. I'm telling you, something stinks. And they haven't mentioned Priest and that briefcase in a while. And I think it's happening at Mania.
So who do we get first? Obviously, when Punk gets back from injury, his first opponent's going to be Drew, and then he'll move on to Seth, and then they're teasing a Roman match. They've done it 2 or 3 different times. I don't see that happening at Mania next year, but when do you see that match taking place next year? I could see potentially SummerSlam next year. You really want to stretch it out.
Yeah, Punk and Roman, sure. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I think Rock and Roman are on a collision course for Minneapolis, WrestleMania 41, US Bank Stadium, be there. CM Punk, I think, could take on Seth Rollins or Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41. I think the first opponent for Punk is Drew McIntyre, and then after that, you could see, somebody else, Seth maybe or Cody, in sandwiched in between those. But yeah, no, Punk and Roman's going to be interesting. Like, that could definitely be a SummerSlam 2025 vibe for sure.
Yeah, it's got to happen when Roman is completely done with the bloodline. And I think maybe Paul Heyman is a focal point in that storyline, but it's way too early for that. But I'm just anticipating Punk back on television, especially going into the Netflix era. I think Raw needs him desperately. I think he just brings a different vibe and a sense of legitimacy to the show that nobody else can bring. And clearly the ratings showcased it. Nobody knew The Rock was there, but Punk was advertised, and the show drew pretty well. And Punk, I believe, drew 2.2 million views for his segment or something along those lines. So obviously Punk is still a must-see commodity for WWE.
Yeah, and again, I will say this. It seems as Cody's path from now until SummerSlam has pretty much been laid out. It seems Cody is going to be taking on The Rock in a singles match at SummerSlam. How we get there, if the title's on the line, who knows? So that leaves Roman, Punk, Drew, Seth, and some others. So we'll have to see where all this ends up, you know?
Are you, before we get on to the WrestleMania news in Minneapolis, are you, after last night, I don't want to say you're changing your mind because it ebbs and flows.
Sure.
I've said the same thing. We watch, we dissect, we analyze, and we move on to the next week. That's what weekly episodic television is. It's not that I'm now pro-Rock after I blasted The Rock and I compared him to Vince and I made fun of his ego and all this other shit. I'm not anti-Dwayne. Believe me, I want great television. But after last night, are you getting a sense of, I know you are, Cody winning the championship? Are you pretty 50-50 with Roman still potentially walking out of Mania with the championship? How are you feeling in regards to that aspect?
I would say I'm more 85-15 right now. And with the beautiful thing, 85 Cody winning, 15 Roman retaining. And the beautiful thing is that we have another week, and both Roman and The Rock will be at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn for Monday Night Raw. Cody will obviously be there as well. Again, I think they all show up on SmackDown in Philly as well. What they do, who knows? They have another 2 to 3 shows to get their shit in. But again, it just screams to me right now that Cody's going to win, and that's okay. You know, I claimed for weeks that the way that things were given to us and the way they were written, I did not see Cody winning. I thought Seth might turn on him. There's a lot of things that you watch and you're like, okay, that's what this form of entertainment is all about, is digesting and then dissecting what they give you. If this is your profession, if this is what you do for fun or as a hobby, or if this is your everyday work. That's what you need to do. You can't pick a favorite, and then when they don't do what you want them to do, or they don't write the way you want them to write, or they don't execute what you thought was a good idea, you go and shit on it. That's not what an analyst does. That's not what an opinionist does. Shout out to my boy David Hero. That's not what you do. You need to watch what you're given, dissect and digest. That's it. Just because things didn't happen the way you want it to be doesn't mean this shit sucks. There's a lot of people on social media. Roman needs to beat Hulk Hogan's reign. Who gives a fuck about that shit?
I saw that narrative yesterday. Like, why are we making booking decisions based on a third place record? That is reckless behavior.
Who gives a shit? We can erase Hulk Hogan if you need to. If that makes you sleep better at night, they'll do it. But they haven't. They've kept him. He had the Rumble stuff, all this other shit. They've decided not to erase Hulk Hogan. And I don't think that the timing has anything to do with anything. Truthfully, nobody should have beaten Roman at this point. I can't name one person until now that should beat Roman. Even Cody last year, we were clamoring. They were dying for it. And I said, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. Let him go through some more adversity, he being Cody Rhodes. And now we're here. And I still had thought, they might not pull the trigger here. Maybe they do it at the Garden. Maybe Cody wins the Money in the Bank, all this other shit. But what I saw last night, because it's part of my job, it's not my everyday job, but it's this job, I need to take what they're giving me and figure out what they're telling me. And what they're telling me is Cody got the shit kicked out of him, bloody, battered. Rock looks strong. Told you not to fuck with DJ. No one is outshining The Rock. It doesn't matter if he's winning or not on Sunday or Saturday. No one's outshining The Rock. And nobody is. But now, Cody looks weak, beaten, battered. They're going to build that equity up, and they're going to cash in on Sunday at WrestleMania, I believe, at Lincoln Financial Field with the help of Steve Austin and John Cena.
You know, guys, I will say this before we move on to the next topic here. It is okay to question everything. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, man. You know, you could sit there and be an opinionist, like Drew said, an analyst. You know, a lot of people misinterpret me as a hater. I'm just following what I get on a week-to-week basis, man. I don't know what's going to happen next week. I don't know what happens ahead of time. I don't. You know, I just give you what I know in the moment. And there are things that have not made any sense. That doesn't make me a hater. That doesn't make me anti-Dwayne. That doesn't make me anti-Cody. Am I excited for WrestleMania? I'm over the moon about WrestleMania. I can't wait. It's the biggest time for us content creators. But if you're going to
say that again, though, say that again. I don't think people hear this when JD speaks, because a lot of people like hear all the other shit. JD said verbatim that he is excited for this year's WrestleMania. That's important, because 2 weeks ago, JD said the build was shit. So look what they've done. That's important. They've hooked you. They've hooked me. And they've hooked.
And like you said earlier, they got 14 days. A lot can happen on Friday. A lot could happen on Monday. Then we got Friday on SmackDown before night one. I mean, there's a lot that still could be done and said in regards to WrestleMania, and that's enough time to sway people. You know, who I think WrestleMania season's been lacking. For the most part, it's been old Dwayne. I feel like everything else is kind of taking a back seat, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a bad show. I just feel like I wish everything was just a little bit more evenly dispersed, you know, or divided. But I feel like with 14 days still left to go, I mean, they could sway everybody's opinion in regards to that, like you said.
They don't need to do anything else, in my opinion, for this tag match. It's fucking sold. Okay. The building's sold. Peacock's already pretty much purchased by everybody in here and everybody else who's on the internet. Again, if you want to buy pay-per-views, you smoke cigarettes backwards. But Sunday is something they could add a little bit more saison to, and I think they will with Friday, Monday, Friday, because the tag match is sold, brother.
Oh, something's happening in Brooklyn. No doubt about it. Everybody's going to be there. Moving on to Minneapolis. Update on WrestleMania 41 in Minneapolis. Fightful is reporting that since last July, they had learned that Minneapolis was a frontrunner to land WWE's WrestleMania 41 in 2025. Based on sources that they've spoken to, Minneapolis is working on the assumption that they are landing the show and have been hoping that an announcement could be made in the coming weeks. There are several government officials who have hinted heavily at the upcoming announcement for a major show. When we asked WWE officials, they would not confirm or deny that WrestleMania was headed there. However, there are people of influence within Minneapolis that tell Fightful they've prepared for the upcoming announcement of the event. Now, it's worth noting that Minnesota officials have been particularly loose-lipped about this over the last year, with them leaking in April of 2023 that they were a finalist city for the event. We're told in the past, specifically Minnesota, sometimes leaking that information has cost them leverage, whereas they thought it would increase buzz in the event landing there. Now, Governor Walz said at an event, this is the place to be. Those are the things we need to be doing. So for all of you attracting folks here, attracting conventions, whether it's coming up with the USA Gymnastic Trials or the U.S. Junior Hockey Championships, and are we not going to forget WrestleMania and things like that? And then he starts laughing. You know, when they told me that, I'm like, oh, but want to know the best about this? That thing is a $20 million impact in the local economy. It's big. So I know you've been reporting this, Drew, and been talking about this. It's all but a done deal.
Yeah, WrestleMania was probably going to be here. I think it was 2017 or 2018, and I think because of the hubbub that our governor did and some others, I think the old administration was like, go to Orlando, or we'll go to New Orleans, so you guys could piss off. And realistically, I think this is a different time. WWE is getting massive bids from many different cities, states, et cetera, et cetera. I've been saying this for months now. If they were going to do Vegas for WrestleMania, they would have already announced that because they had a kickoff event there. It would have already been done. It was very easy. It's a very easy sell. Hey, thank you all for coming. We also want to let you know WrestleMania 41 will be right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's done. WrestleMania is coming to Minneapolis, Minnesota. I expect the announcement imminently. I also told y'all that SummerSlam was going to Cleveland. SummerSlam is in Cleveland. Trust me when I tell you that the deal is done. WrestleMania will be here in Minneapolis. Unless, I know I say trust me, the deal's done. Unless something like unforeseen happens, which I can't see at this point. WrestleMania is here. It's done.
Is the egghead like the new magic lantern, bro? You rub the head and it's like your dreams come true or something?
I mean, listen, WrestleMania here will be great for this economy. It'll be great for the city. It'll be great for the state of Minnesota. And we're all excited to have it. The financial impact is huge, but I'm really excited to see that building get a WrestleMania because the building is unbelievable. The acoustics sucked for concerts. They're fixing it, and they have fixed it. But every time I've been there for a football game, the atmosphere is absolutely electric. I saw a Super Bowl there. It's a great building, and there's a lot to do here. Trust me, I know it's cold. Listen, my camera's even mad. I just hit my table. We got a lot of snow here yesterday.
Well, it's March 26th. How cold is it? Don't tell me it's like 20 degrees up there.
No, here, let's take a look. I just know, we got some snow, but the first 2 weeks of April are always, great here. Let's see what the temperature is. JD, I don't even look anymore. It's 20 degrees right now.
Jesus fucking Christ.
But hold on. Next week, it'll be 56.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Right.
That's like borderline hoodie weather, maybe.
Well, Philly, it's going to be 63 in Philly during WrestleMania. So, I mean, it's
all right. I'll be
not going to be 80. Right, exactly. You'll also be wearing something else that I get you. But again, WrestleMania here is huge. I can't wait for it.
Just point me to the best cocktail lounge that Minneapolis has to offer. That's all I say.
I have a list of speakeasies.
Perfect.
That will absolutely blow your mind.
You're speaking my language. Great.
You don't say.
Vegas, 42 probably you're looking at. Maybe Tennessee was a front runner as well. They getting a new stadium, I believe, as well. So WWE's potentially going to Vegas and Tennessee in the next couple of years.
I believe WrestleMania will be in Vegas, Tennessee, Atlanta, and I wouldn't rule out London in the next couple of years.
Oh yeah, that's a prediction for sure. I want to talk about what's potentially happening after WrestleMania. We got Carmelo Hayes potentially getting called up to the main roster, as right now he's in a feud with Trick Williams, his former confidant and tag team partner. They've been paired together for the majority of their runs in NXT, with Hayes recently turning on Trick Williams after previously attacking him backstage. Now the pair are set to face off at Stand and Deliver WrestleMania weekend, which I believe will happen on Saturday, 11 a.m. No, thank you. No, thank you. Multiple sources in NXT have told Fightful that the current plan is for Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes at Stand and Deliver to main event the show. Now, while it has not been locked...
don't say.
I mean, that's surprising over Ilya Dragunov and Tony D'Angelo right now for the NXT Championship, but WWE officials are pushing for the heated storyline to get the main spotlight. I understand it. I understand it. One official who has been very hands-on with the storyline is Shawn Michaels, who has helped plan and map out the storyline along with Carmelo and Trick. Michaels has been a big supporter of Carmelo Hayes. No shit. Many of us at Fightful asked about the status of both men's call-ups. One source told Fightful that Carmelo has been set for his main roster call-up since the Royal Rumble and is expected to move up to the main roster full-time in the summer. With regards to Trick Williams, officials took notice of the reaction he got during his surprise SmackDown appearance back in January. There have been pitches for the pair to continue their rivalry on the main roster after Stand and Deliver, but Williams' plans past the premium live event is unclear. Carmelo's ready for the main roster. He has been ready for the main roster. Trick Williams, I would not rush him up yet. I think he needs a little bit more seasoning down in NXT. If he's going to be a top guy, he should be a top guy on that brand to see where he really develops and becomes a superstar. But my question is, we all know Carmelo Hayes is ready for the main roster. But the thing with NXT is Braun Breaker's on the main roster. Carmelo Hayes is on the main roster. Tiffany Stratton's now on the main roster. A lot of that beginning 2.0, branding is now getting called up to the main roster, man. Who do you see being the new face of NXT, outside Trick Williams, obviously, to carry that brand now that the original 2.0 crew is going on to bigger and better things?
Man, that's a tough one. I think they have big plans for Tony D. So I think that could be somebody. There's no better match to main event this Stand and Deliver, in my opinion, than Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. I mean, there's so much meat on that bone. They deserve it. The feud is getting so much time. They also, like I said, have worked their asses off. They deserve the main event this event in Philly during WrestleMania weekend. I think Dragunov, Tony D, it's interesting because Baron Corbin is a name that comes to mind too, because they're really not doing anything with him besides the Braun Breaker tag team.
Yeah, also, shout out though to Baron Corbin. I know a lot of people have given him shit, including myself, and I think the transformation from main roster Corbin to what we're seeing now, he finally has found himself, and I'm glad that he looks happy doing what he's doing, man. That's something that always resonated with me. I felt like he was always bored, or he was just upset with the way they were using him. He feels legitimately content now. That's a great thing to say. Yeah, and I think Corbin has really hit his stride. And I think Corbin and Breaker will probably take on the OC, which is a really, it's a way to maybe get the OC on WrestleMania weekend. It's also maybe a way to revitalize them a little bit, because if they do go to NXT Stand and Deliver, I think they'll win the tag team titles, because Breaker's got to be main roster full time. This gives Corbin the opportunity to maybe take on Dragunov or Tony D for the World Championship. But again,
Yeah, those are the three guys that I would kind of go with, Dragunov, D'Angelo, and Corbin. And again, there's no match that should main event besides Williams and Hayes.
No, I agree with that completely. I'm going to say Nathan Frazier's probably going to get a little bit more of a priority. I think Obafemi is going to get a little bit of priority. On the women's side, I could see Sol Ruka. I could see Lola Vice becoming.
Don't forget Brian Pillman Jr., Lexus King.
Yeah, him as well. I mean, so they got a nice little nucleus down there, depending on how you guys feel about the current product. But something that also could potentially add to NXT, Drew. I don't know how familiar you are with the Motor City Machine Guns. They are now free agents. They are leaving Impact TNA Wrestling. PW Insider says TNA held an emotional backstage send-off for the Motor City Machine Guns, whose contracts end on April 1st. This report was confirmed by Fightful Select, who add that while the door has been kept open for the Guns to return to TNA, they are not currently expected to remain with TNA.
There's not a chance in hell that the Motor City Machine Guns end up in WWE.
Really? That was my question to you. I know Tony has been signing people left and right, and clearly just based on the surface, Motor City Machine Guns would fit like a fucking glove in AEW. And that's where I think that they'll end up, because that tag team division, you and I have talked about it. I talked about it with Jesse as well on Wednesday. That is the next thing that needs a revitalization now that they're focusing on the women. Let's start focusing on the tag team division that has kind of went downhill over the recent years. But is there a chance if WWE, I know Triple H used, the time splitters on NXT Black and Gold back in the day when Shelley, I believe, teamed with Kushida. But is there a possibility that Triple H says, you know what, I want to bring these guys in. I got a great tag team division as well. Let me see what these guys can do for me. And I know he's a fan of them. You don't think that's a possibility?
Well, I mean, there's always a possibility, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you no way. Even though I kind of just said that a couple seconds ago, but I don't see it. I think the Motor City Machine Guns are tailor fitted for AEW. I think they end up there. I think they get lost in the shuffle in WWE. Not to mention, I don't think they want to work NXT.
That would be terrible.
Yeah, I just think that they, and that's probably where they would head, because realistically, where do you fit them in right now on WWE? You don't. So I think they're AEW bound. I think it's a good call for AEW. They need to revitalize that tag team division. They are. And I don't think that's the last big signing that AEW has this year. I think AEW beefs up their women's roster and they get a little rowdy sooner rather than later.
You mean to tell me that
That's a prediction, not a spoiler.
I was going to say, you mean to tell me you're predicting, which I'll get into in a second because I got a ton of notes on Ronda. You think Ronda is going to end up in AEW?
I do. And again, I don't have any inside information from either company. I don't have anybody in AEW who calls me and is like, hey, this is that just doesn't happen. That company is very tight-lipped and I love them for it. I have friends who work there, but they have never divulged information and they never will. I'm just reading between the lines, and I do believe that Ronda Rousey will end up in All Elite Wrestling. Yes.
That's quite the prediction. Bookmark it. Yeah. Save the video. If it happens, you know where you heard it first, right here. March 26, 2024. Let me know how you guys feel about Ronda potentially going to AEW. But Ronda,
I think they wait, though, because right now they just invested a lot into Mercedes. I think that these two can get together, get an agreement where it fits Ronda, it fits All Elite Wrestling, and you don't take away the shine that Mercedes has right now. But I do believe Ronda Rousey will be she'll be All Elite Wrestling sooner rather than later. Yes.
Who are you kidding, man? Drew is on the payroll. Sure he is.
No, I'm not. I hate to tell you, I'm not.
Ridiculous. Ronda was in the news, man. Ronda has gone scorched earth on WWE. I did talk about this briefly on my end myself, but there was more news and more excerpts coming out of her book entitled My Fight, and she's been blasting Vince, Bruce, and John Laurinaitis. The latest on Ronda in her autobiography is that Ronda ripped Vince McMahon. She also has knocked Bruce Prichard and John Laurinaitis. One person reportedly close to the former WWE women's superstar stated, Ronda Rousey felt that WWE has a misogynistic culture. By the time she left, despised Vince. However, she enjoyed her brief time working for Triple H at the end of her second run. Now, while speaking with Cage Side Seats, Rousey noted that our frustration stemmed from the women's roster not being given the same screen time and preparation as the men. Rousey then shifted her focus to McMahon, who is facing, obviously, the lawsuit with Janelle Grant. She said, I just didn't want to be Vince's fucking action figure anymore. I felt like I was doing custom matches for a fucking sicko in the back. All power to the girls that keep fighting the good fight. But I'm in my mid-30s now. I've got shit to do. She doubled down on her past tweet about Prichard serving as Vince's avatar when he had retired, quote unquote, from the company before forcing his way back. Rousey said that McMahon was never gone while he was there, but phoned it in through Bruce Prichard, my agent who works at WMD Endeavor. He was telling me, he's completely gone now, I swear. And I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it because everyone said he left before. He never left. He was there via text message. So Rousey, Drew, this is not the first time she's gone scorched earth. She did praise Triple H about, being great towards the women, which, again, I don't really hear you Triple H detractors, and believing in the women. She said that he was the whole reason she was even there, and he believed in her more than anybody. And she added that she wishes her entire run had been under Triple H's creative leadership. Oh, man, Ronda's really just kind of opening the doors, man. Vince was really in charge. I love it. So she did say this back in the day, Drew. I want to go over this. I did go and do some research. The New York Post reported about Rousey during WrestleMania 39. She was quick to point out that none of the women's division right now is where it needs to be. And she said, well, the lack of competition is really the problem with us. I mean, we want to be the most active champions out there. I want to be able to defend the titles every week, even twice a week on both Raw and SmackDown. But with how dismally shallow the women's division is right now, there's not enough women around here to keep us busy for a month. And that's the biggest challenge that we have to fix and actually care and get people invested into this tag team division. I know you know how important Ronda was, Drew, to the WWE's Women's Revolution. I think everybody really knows that without Ronda, that pay-per-view doesn't happen. She's in the main event with Nikki Bella. Ronda's first run was historic. That tag team match with Triple H, Kurt Angle was fucking historic in itself. It was the best match that entire show. What she did for that women's division, she elevated everybody while she was learning at the same time, which is a very difficult thing to do. And when she dropped the title to Becky, a lot of people were claiming especially me, a lot of people were claiming that it should have been Becky and Ronda in that match, but Charlotte had to power her way into that, kind of watering it down. And then she went away, and WWE didn't do anything with the division. I think Becky started feuding with Lacey Evans for months after that show ended. And then Ronda, fast forward, comes back for this second run. How different was Ronda during this second run, Drew? It's almost as if on day one she didn't even want to be there, and what she's saying really opens up the fucking doors to give you, the viewer, a glimpse as to what was really going on there, man. I don't blame Ronda now. Ronda didn't want to be there for one very specific reason, and that's the people running the show didn't really give a shit about booking the women the way that she thought the women should have been booked.
Yeah, I said this when Ronda came back. I said that Ronda looked like Ronda, was just fulfilling her contractual obligations due to what she had, much like she did with UFC when she fought her last couple of fights. Again, she looked disinterested, and she looked like she was, just, hey, I got to get this done because I got to fulfill my contractual obligations. And they never really gave Ronda what they wanted. They never gave Ronda what she wanted, which was a singles match at WrestleMania, and they never gave it to her against Becky Lynch. They never had it. So Ronda did what she needed to do, got out. She also kind of was like, yeah, I'll work SummerSlam, but I want to go against one of my best friends, and that was Shayna Baszler, and that match happened. And I think that's the last match of Ronda Rousey's career in WWE, right?
Yes, it was a stinker.
Yeah. Ronda will never step foot in a WWE ring again, I truly believe. I don't believe Ronda's fighting for UFC ever again because it's all under one umbrella. And Ronda needs to make money eventually. Everybody needs to make money. I think that's why she ends up in All Elite Wrestling.
I could see that happening. I could see that being the case, and I will say this about Ronda. I have not been a big advocate for Ronda. During her first run, I absolutely was. I saw how valuable she was, and those women aren't where they are right now without Ronda. So good on her for really speaking up to get what the women deserve, and especially this second go around. You know, I have been very hard on Ronda, even though I knew, and everybody called me a conspiracy theorist, that Vince was still in charge. You know, Ronda didn't want to be there, and it's visibly obvious why she didn't want to be there anymore. It's because of who was running the show. Obviously, Bruce and Vince, you know, they were those notoriously, through what we heard, you know, over years, they just did not want to push the narrative of women's wrestling. And Ronda tried to speak up, and she tried to be an advocate for women's wrestling. And in that locker room, you got to give her that much credit for being the voice where they don't have any voice. And
right.
I want to, you know, publicly, if I said anything disparaging about Ronda's in-ring ability, it's because I watch and dissect like an opinionist and like an analyst like Drew and I talked about earlier. Ronda didn't want to be there. Ronda's not the greatest pro wrestler in the world either. But her value is something that cannot be measured. It is absolutely through the roof. And for her to be the voice for that locker room where others can't speak up, and now we know why she didn't want to be there, I have a different respect for Ronda Rousey. And if she wants to continue pro wrestling, I'm going to support Ronda Rousey based off what she has said for fighting the good fight against Vince and Bruce and standing up for the women in that locker room that don't have a voice. I'm not a fan of Ronda Rousey, but this makes me respect the fuck out of Ronda Rousey. I love this.
Hey, I'm proud of you because it takes a man to come out here and say, you know, whether or not you like somebody, you don't like somebody, but you can respect what he or she has done. So I'm proud of you for that. I will say this. You can like, dislike, kind of like what JD said, Ronda Rousey. What she brought to WWE was it's not measurable. Truthfully, you won't be able to measure it, especially for the women. She was the straw that broke the camel's back on a lot of things that you saw with the women's division and the evolution and even the pay-per-view, all this other stuff. That was all because Ronda Rousey had the balls to step up and say something to management and to say, we're doing things the right way, not the wrong way. And that's something that is, you know, it's invaluable. It really is. It's so like forgotten in what has happened. And whether, you know, Ronda gave you 5-star Meltzer classics or not really doesn't matter because Ronda changed the whole landscape of WWE and not a lot of people saw it. I did. I saw it from the beginning. I knew Ronda was here to change the game and to put women back on the map. You don't get WrestleMania 35 main event. You damn sure don't get Sasha and Bianca in the main event of WrestleMania. What was it? 37 night one. You don't get that without Ronda. You don't. And those women have all the talent in the world, but Ronda broke that back so that they could get there because without Ronda's polarizing figure, none of this shit happens.
No, and that's the most important thing you say. Without Ronda on a one-night WrestleMania in New York, New Jersey, they're the main event at fucking 12 midnight. That doesn't happen without Ronda. It's not happening with Charlotte. It's not happening with Becky. It's not happening with Sasha, Bayley, Alexa, Bianca. None of those women are getting to that point. The reason why the women are there is because of Ronda.
Yeah,
they were forced to do it. They didn't want to do it. They had to do it.
Oh, yeah. You don't think that they wanted to throw, you know, Seth and Brock in the main event of that? They absolutely did. What I will say to you is, you know, you guys and girls shit on Ronda's mic work. Brock was never a good mic guy. Never. He always had a mouthpiece. Ronda did what she could. Ronda was never a good promo. But, man, when Ronda got in the ring, it felt like Ronda would beat the shit out of you. And all wrestling is those moments and the sell. And the sell Ronda provided was something that, again, is immeasurable because Ronda brought realism to professional wrestling. Ronda, when she wrestled, you wondered if she was going to snap the neck, snap the arm, snap the leg of somebody. She brought, just like Brock did, she legitimized some of the matches that are fixed in WWE. And I will tell you, if Ronda heads to AEW, which I believe she will, you will see the impact that Ronda brings there as well.
We're looking at potentially another revolution. You know, AEW is headed towards their own women's pay-per-view. Mark my words, it's going to happen, and it will probably happen if Ronda does end up over there. Never mind Mercedes. Mercedes is the blueprint. If Ronda ends up over there, I mean, it's all going to be coming to fruition, no doubt about it. Goldberg, he had some things to say in regards to his undefeated streak in regards to how WWE has treated him, especially Triple H. WWE had some Japanese girl beat my undefeated streak, he says, with Tim Green on his Nothing Left Unsaid podcast. He says on, and who he calls Asuka breaking the streak. Well, a girl beat my winning streak, beat my undefeated streak. I can't even remember. Asuka was her name, some Japanese girl, and they touted her as being the one to have the longest winning streak. It just so happened that culminated when I got there, right? I'll get to that in a second. Then he goes on and says Triple H doesn't like him, and I think a lot of that is between Hunter and myself. It was all real. And he goes on to say, for you, Mr. Green, I will talk about it. For any other piece of the media, I won't. Bret, and he goes on to talk about Bret the Hitman Hart and how he's apologized, and Bret won't accept his apology. He's done what he's could to basically apologize to Bret over 15 years, and Bret has not listened to him. I'm not going to get into all that stuff because we're not here to talk about Bret. Bret's going to hate Goldberg until the fucking day he dies. But how do you feel about Goldberg, bro, talking about Asuka and disrespecting Asuka? I know a lot of people took this as Goldberg kind of downplaying Asuka's importance to the women's division and WWE's women's wrestling. You know, he said that it culminated when he got there. I find it very difficult to believe how Triple H knew Goldberg was coming on in during the time he brought Asuka in. And, you know, the first thing that was on his mind was, you know what? Goldberg's going to be coming in here any year now. I'm going to take Asuka to win 900 fucking matches or 900 days, and we're just going to fuck Bill Goldberg when he gets here. I find that very difficult to believe, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't really give a fuck about anybody's wins and loss records. Like the only
Here we go.
The only streak that mattered was the Undertaker streak because it sold WrestleManias, it sold pay-per-views, it sold tickets, it sold merch. WrestleMania and the Undertaker streak was something that like people clamored for. I don't like, why does Goldberg care that somebody else had an undefeated streak? Goldberg's checks continued to cash. That's all I would care about. The streak in my bank account, how long that streak's been going on for, is all I would give a shit about. And realistically, I saw a lot of people on X. I made a video about it for my boiler room.
What is he upset about?
It was
what
my
is he
gym,
upset about?
I don't know. Who knows? I mean, like, who cares? Like, it's just, again, I'll never understand. Goldberg has always, and I will say this, I don't, you know, he's been very, very good to me, and he's been good to my kid. Not that it matters, but I don't see what the fucking big deal here is. I mean, Goldberg said some shit. He, just like Bret says shit, just like all these other guys say shit. And realistically, like, it is what it is. For all you YouTube creators and everything else like that, media personalities, this shit will not be tolerated. You guys sound ridiculous. You're going to walk over to Bill Goldberg and tell him he's a piece of shit? No, you're not. No, you're fucking not.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
I'll say it from this fucking chair, man. I don't give a shit.
Right. You don't have the balls to do it. That's why I say what I mean and mean what I say.
First of all, Asuka can wrestle circles around Bill Goldberg. I don't need people telling me who's the bigger star. No shit, Sherlock, you fucking geeks. I get it. Goldberg was a star back in the 90s. But the thing is, Goldberg is taking the fact that Vince McMahon broke a promise. Go figure, man. Goldberg had a fucking promise broken by Vince. Vince told him that, or Goldberg rather told Vince, you know, I'll put Roman over in Saudi. I just want my retirement match. You know, I'll come in and do what you got to do. I just want my retirement match. Vince never gave Goldberg his retirement match, but I sit here questioning why Goldberg is upset. He's blaming Triple H. He's blaming Asuka, downplaying Asuka. Mm-hmm. So what are you upset about, bro? You're upset that WWE didn't give you your retirement match, but they gave you this superhero-like return where your son got to see you wrestle. You had a great feud with Brock. You beat him in 90 seconds. Yeah. You culminated the feud at WrestleMania. You buried Kevin Owens. You buried The Fiend and won the World Championship when you should have been put in a position to basically tell Vince, man, I don't think we should be beating this guy. Everybody seems to love him. He's the future here. No, but we'll beat him in 3 minutes and fucking kill the entire aura of the character. Yeah. And, again, his son saw him wrestle and win multiple championships. Bro, believe me, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that most of Goldberg's matches were championship matches coming on into WWE, just getting random championship. What the fuck else did this guy want?
Yeah,
really?
I mean, I've never seen Goldberg more happier when he was that last run, or maybe it was the run before this with WWE, when he won the championship, he got to give it to Gage. He got to have Gage travel with him, and Goldberg was the focal point, one of the focal points for WrestleMania. Goldberg was as happy as Goldberg I've ever seen him. So I think, Bill just wants that retirement match, and I think there's a lot of people that would give it to him. There's a lot of promoters that would do that for you, Bill, if that's what you want. And it doesn't need to be in a WWE ring. I mean, you could probably call Conrad Thompson. I'm sure Conrad would try and work something out with you where you could have a retirement match like Flair did, and people will show up. Goldberg's a draw. But again, I think Bill got to have his kid look at him as a superhero again in real life instead of what he had to watch on television, that being Gage. And I think that's invaluable. So I have all the respect in the world for Bill. And I wish that he would understand from my perspective. I know Vince and WWE didn't give you a retirement match, but man, your kid got to see you in real life in front of his eyes, like watching his dad be a superhero. And that is something you'll never be able to recreate again, Bill. Truthfully, from me to you.
Basic has a super chat here, $20 super chat. I'm going to read this now because it's pertinent to the topic here. Goldberg complained that his finisher was overused by multiple wrestlers during his tenure with WWE. He blames Triple H for that because he claims H doesn't like him. Did Michaels ever complain that everyone uses his finisher? So Goldberg was complaining that everybody's using the spear. Lashley's using the spear. Roman's using the spear. Edge was using the spear. Now Braun Breaker's using... Yeah, Triple H is like, you know what, guys? We're going to add the spear to your arsenal because fuck Bill Goldberg. I don't think that's the case at all, man. Goldberg.
I mean, everybody uses a super kick. Everybody uses the DDT. Edge was using the spear before Goldberg came into WWE. Roman was using it before, after Goldberg's first run with WWE. But I mean, I think this is ridiculous.
Are we really going to put down Braun Breaker's spear now? Come on.
No, and what I'm saying is, I think Bill should look back at what WWE did give him for his son and just be thankful for that. Because, like I said, Gage you'll never be able to give it to him again like that. He saw it from a kid's eyes, Gage did. Now Gage is playing football in college. Like, Bill, your kid got to see you as this superhero that you were in the 90s and the early 2000s. Just be happy with that, man. You were one of the main events of WrestleMania.
Yeah. All right, listen. It was a story this week. I think it was a ridiculous one, but Goldberg, I don't think he has really anything to be upset about. They gave him the world, and if he wants a retirement match, do you see maybe Tony giving him a retirement match? You think that could happen in AEW, being that what happened with Sting was so well received? No. Okay, we're moving on.
Fuck no.
We're moving on, man. We're moving on. Let's talk about Tony Khan, man. Tony Khan's in the news. Nothing bad. But Tony Khan apparently has given us a little insight on the Continental Classic this year, rather, and what the Continental Championship rules are. He clarifies the Continental Crown rules for the championship. Now, this is coming from comicbook.com. And he spoke with them, and he clarified that the Continental Crown Championship will continue to be defended in singles action until the Continental Classic returns in the fall, where it will be up for grabs again in the round-robin tournament. I will stop there. I don't know why we are looking at the tournament after last year and making the same mistake that was originally brought up by everybody, including me and Drew and everybody else, why we're going back this year for year 2 and doing the same fucking thing. First of all, Drew, how ridiculous is it that you're a Continental Crown champion and you're going to want to willingly enter this tournament and put the title on the line during the whole tournament? Like, how does that why would you want to do that? And by the way, so if the champion loses in the tournament, one match, does that mean he loses the championship, or does he have to get to the finals to fight for the championship he already has possession of? I don't really get it. Like, what's the deal here?
Yeah, it's dumb. And whoever pitched this idea or if, this was Tony's brainchild and nobody said anything, like realistically, it's like, hey, hold on to this championship until November.
Yeah.
Then when November comes, you, although have beaten everybody to retain this championship, you are going to enter yourself into this tournament. Because why? Because you're a goddamn fighting champion. No. So basically, I'm holding this to relinquish it. Possibly. It's ridiculous. Like, you take all the momentum and the steam off of this championship. If you wanted this to be like a King of the Ring with a belt or a championship, fine. You could have done that. But realistically, if the champion is still the champion come November, that guy is automatically in the finals at World's End. That's it. He's not entering himself into a tournament that he's like, what? No. And last year's winner, Eddie Kingston, does he get an automatic bid into this tournament? Like, if you really want to make this so like real in terms of like wins and losses and sports production, everything else like that, like, you got to really over-explain yourself. And the problem here is with over-explaining yourself, you lose 90% of the audience, because as much as I love all of y'all, a lot of wrestling fans are not the brightest bulbs in the bunch. Not to mention, they just want entertainment. They don't want to have to think when they watch this shit. And you got to do a lot of thinking sometimes with AEW.
Listen, man, AEW's been killing it. The ratings might not signify that they're killing it, but they have put on some of the best television I think they've put on in 5 years. I want to read you what Tony Khan said here. This is absolutely ridiculous, and I may actually clip this and fucking tag him on X, because it is that ridiculous. Whoever is the champion going...
that man to hate me. That's what you want.
No. We love you, TK. Come on, man. Whoever is the champion going into the Continental Classic, they will put the title up in the tournament, and they will have the opportunity to retain it by winning the tournament. The Continental title will be defended under the Continental rules for the rest of the year. No outside interference. Nobody allowed at ringside. Great. I love those rules. Let's not have the champion in the tournament. Whoever is the champion coming out of AEW Full Gear will then defend the title in the Continental Classic, and then at World's End, we will determine who will be the Continental Champion at the end of 2024. This is, what'd you say, bro? This is convoluting things for the sake of convoluting things. How about this? How about this? Tony, I got a fucking issue here, bro. Wardlow just won a fucking Meat Madness, whatever the fuck you called it, at Revolution, right? And he cashed it in at Big Business against Samoa Joe. Why are you giving away championship matches for the world title in Meat Madness, but a guy has to go through a month-long grueling tournament, and all he gets is, all right, man, I got to put my championship on the line to maybe retain it when I'm already the champion coming into it? Who the fuck signed up for this willingly? Why don't we just have the Continental Champion be the Continental Champion, and you make the tournament a grueling month-long tournament for a shot at your biggest show in Revolution for the World Championship? I think that is a deserving prize at the end of the tunnel, don't you say? Who gives a shit about the Continental title? Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Realistically, like,
here?
Giving Okada that championship was brilliant, but then when they released this information, I was like, shit. Like, give Okada this massive run, let him hold on to that championship, and then he's got to enter himself into the tournament when he's already defended the championship since March all the way through November. Granted, he still being the champion, Okada, and then he's just going to put it on the line because that's good sportsmanship. No. I've beaten all these jabronis for the most part. And now I gotta put my chance. You're basically holding the title to half-ass relinquish it for this tournament, unless you run the gauntlet and win it. I understand, like, new ideas, like all this other stuff, but sometimes if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just have Okada await the winner of this Continental Classic tournament. That's it.
Listen, bro. Tony Khan just tweeted 2 hours ago, the updated AEW rankings will be released tomorrow.
Whoa.
Oh, man. Wednesday night, 327, following Wednesday Night Dynamite live on TBS with Takeshita's 2024 record at 5-1 and Swerve's 5-1 and 1 tie. I can confirm that the winner of tomorrow's match between Takeshita and Swerve will be ranked number 1. Oh, man.
I mean, I appreciate Tony for like explaining that, but the rankings need to go away. I've said that since the rankings came out. They do nothing.
This is by the way, this is the first time they've been updated since February.
I don't care. I don't even know who's in the top 5 because you know what I watch? What they give me on TV. I don't know. If Swerve's beating people and Joe's staring him down and they make that announcement on Dynamite or Collision, then I know. I don't need your slapdick rankings to tell me that. I don't. Truthfully, I need to, whatever you're giving me on TV, I will digest. And then in my brain, I'll be like, okay, he's the number 1 contender. She's the number 1 contender. They're the number 1 contenders. I don't need your rankings. Whoever convinced them to do this, because it'll make sense. Everybody will understand this. No, it's professional wrestling at its best. I don't need wins and losses like overshadowing everything.
That Continental Classic garbage needs to fucking be reworked fast. That shit is ridiculous. There's no reason why the champion should be in the fucking tournament. The tournament's great.
Yeah, the tournament. The good thing about it is fixable because the tournament was fantastic. If Okada's going to hold on to that championship or whoever is the champion does not need to run that gauntlet. That's stupid.
So we got rankings being updated tomorrow via Tony Khan on Twitter. Yet we get Adam Copeland last week in the Dynamite main event, which was fantastic against Christian Cage, winning the TNT Championship, and then coming out after months of Christian doing away with the open challenges, building prestige for the TNT title. Adam Copeland's like, I'm gonna bring back the Cope Open. All right, so why do we have fucking rankings to determine who's next for the TNT title? If there's going to be an open challenge every fucking week, doesn't that go against the rankings and having a ranking system?
Well, yeah, that's why the rankings are dumb. But the Cope Open is very, very smart. It's like John Cena's U.S. Championship stuff. I don't know what you're missing here. I disagree with you like wholeheartedly here. This is smart.
Bro, the open challenges from Adam Copeland would mean more if AEW didn't do them every other week.
So they introduced them because it was a vet allowing somebody who doesn't get a ton of TV time or something like that the opportunity to beat a big name like Adam Copeland. Now there's more equity because Copeland holds the TNT Championship. So a lot of you fans don't remember, but didn't Cody do this? And I believe we first got Eddie Kingston on our television screens in AEW because of this. Now, I know some of you guys might have known Eddie Kingston from his indie days, but this bald egghead had no idea who the fuck that guy was, okay? So let's just put that out there. So that helps things. It helps tell stories. It helps get somebody over. Look at John Cena. John Cena did this with the U.S. title, and now Edge is doing with the TNT title. And you knuckleheads have a problem with it? Why?
Bro, oh my God, man. I'm over the moon. I can't wait to watch Copeland versus Brian Keith for the TNT title. Man, get the fuck out of here with this shit. Nobody wants to. Who gives a shit? Nobody cares. Who is he putting over? Who?
We don't know yet.
If we're not talking about putting Danny Garcia over, I don't want to hear nobody about a Cope Open. I think everybody needs to cope that it's fucking garbage. Honestly,
it's not garbage.
Bro, Cena did it once, and it was what 5-6 weeks.
Well, what I'm saying to you is that
every defense from Orange Cassidy's a fucking open challenge.
Well, but I mean that's a different story here. Orange Cassidy's not Adam Copeland.
Well, Orange Cassidy seemingly defends his title in an open challenge every fucking week. Why do we need the TNT title to have an open challenge every week? Because it's Adam Copeland. How about giving me a rich story with Adam Copeland as champion and finding a new story and a new challenger?
Who?
Danny Garcia.
What happens if Danny Garcia wins the title?
Who gives a shit? Then build him up.
We better move on.
Tell me what I'm missing here.
What you're missing is it's very smart on them. They have a lot of equity with Christian from that championship. They pass it to Copeland because Copeland could not lose twice to Christian because then the feud is done anyways, and it makes no sense. The only thing we need to see from Copeland and Christian now is them as a tag team, hopefully at All In winning the tag team championships. What they've done now is they've put all that equity on Copeland's shoulder, and Copeland is a vet. a well-known veteran in the game, established name for AEW, and he is going to pass that rub off to somebody else, whomever that may be. I don't know, but we're going to find out. So instead of just saying this shit sucks, it's stupid, another Cope Open, blah, 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 you want them to get into a program with somebody and build and build and build. Copa's not holding on to that championship for like 4 or 5 months. That's not happening. It's not happening. I don't see it.
All right. Well, my whole thing is an open challenge. You know, I don't want to see someone. I don't want to see Lee Moriarty show up and challenge Adam Coleman for the TNT title. It's not going to do anything for Lee Moriarty. Give me a fucking break.
There's going to be people who show up that Copeland's going to beat.
The fact of the matter is, an open challenge means, all right, Adam Copeland's going to put this championship on the line tonight on Dynamite, and out comes Matt Cardona. That's an open challenge.
It's
not Lee Moriarty.
Right, but it's on Collision. That's what's smart about this. They need eyeballs on Saturday. The NFL's done. College basketball's going away. WrestleMania season is over, and nobody is watching Collision on WrestleMania Saturday. That's why they're not doing it, except it's going to be after WrestleMania Saturday. So it's smart. It's great timing. Timing is everything, and they need people to tune into Collision. And like you said, what happens if the first Cope Open challenge for the TNT Championships is answered by Mustafa Ali?
Somebody.
What if it's somebody with some name value, but he's not going to win because he's not fully signed to AEW, et cetera, et cetera. That type of stuff. That's how this shit works. There's layers to this shit.
Yeah, but are they going to do that? That's something that I wouldn't complain about. I wouldn't have wasted 5 minutes arguing with you.
I would hope, but I don't work or write for All Elite Wrestling. My phone is always open and on, but I don't work for them.
It's amazing. We go from Orange Cassidy to Roderick Strong. Open challenge to no open challenge. We go from Christian to Adam Copeland. No open challenge to open challenge. It's like the heels don't do it, but the baby faces do. Why do we need to be stuck in the fucking trope of baby faces got to be fighting champions? Give me a break, man. It's such an old guard move. Like, I'm over that. Just give me some fucking stories and value the fucking title. Seriously.
I think they do value the title, the championship. But I mean, I just want to be very clear here. I have and will never compare Orange Cassidy, John Cena, or Adam Copeland.
No.
With all due respect.
No disrespect to Orange Cassidy because he's a great pro wrestler, geeks.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's coming. So expect that on AEW television in the coming weeks. Anything else you want to add on the AEW front? I know Wardlow is a topic of discussion. Adam Cole's mentioned him now twice. We got Mercedes, Will Ospreay. Anything you want to add before we get onto the Super Chats?
I think AEW has done a really good job recently for, like I said, the past 3 months, giving us weekly episodic television that makes sense. I am concerned with the Undisputed Kingdom. We didn't see them last week at all. It's very interesting. So I want to see where they go with that.
Minus the Cole vignette.
Right. But I mean, they should be really, like I said, running roughshod over an entire show and making them a focal point. I will say this, and I want your thoughts on this. The MJF rumors to WWE need to die because that's just not happening. You want to talk about AEW potentially like folding, which is unfathomable because there's just so much money that the cons have, and Tony's going to keep this running as much as he can. MJF's not going to WWE, number one. Number two, I think MJF is on his way back to AEW sooner rather than later. I would assume Dynasty. What are your thoughts?
I think so. I mean, a lot of people made a lot of news about his profile being pulled off of AEW.com and then his merchandise actually being pulled off shop. But that's what MJF does. MJF is not going to let you know what he's doing before he does it. He's always going to hide it in his character. His character is what we see on television, but you're also going to see that actually play out in real life, too. He's not going to be Max. It's going to be MJF. So everything that MJF does is going to be hidden in secrecy. And I actually like that because when he comes back, it's going to be a bigger surprise. It's going to be a bigger pop. If we knew when he was coming back, it's not going to have that type of impact. So I don't know why people are complaining about that and making assumptions that he's going to help Cody win the world championship at WrestleMania and then turn on him. Like, you guys are fucking crazy, man.
I just want to know what drugs they're on.
Not yet. I do believe he will end up there in years, but not now.
Sure. I agree with you there.
Mercedes is doing well. I'm liking what we're seeing from Mercedes. I mean, her promo was basically a reiteration of what we got at Big Business, which we're going to need to see a little bit of a different dynamic this week. Will Ospreay's killing it. He is just going to be the face. If they don't make him the face, they're doing something wrong there. And we got Swerve versus Takeshita coming up tomorrow. Man, I'm fucking hyped for that. No matter how we feel about the rankings, it's going to be a fucking tremendous match.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about Irby?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Irby. Yeah, get into Irby. I'm not familiar with his body of work, but I do know that he was, I believe, with WWE.
He was.
And they named him the new COO. The company officially announced on March 26th that Irby had joined the company as COO, even though he's been with the company for the last couple of months, even though the announcement was just made. He's been on the job and making changes since January. He took over many of the duties left behind by Raf Morphy, who ended up taking the job at the Barclays Center. Or a job at the Barclays Center. AEW said many cities already booked and advertised well into March at that time, and the company kept all of them as opposed to changing them to be more favorably financial. There were also Canadian dates already advertised. So what is he actually going to bring to the table as far as making the appropriate changes that AEW needs, Drew?
Well, he's very, very well versed in marketing, finance, live events, consumer products, and licensing. He was with WWE when kind of their attendance was at an all-time low, and he really kept, in my opinion, some of the things that he did kind of kept that ship afloat in terms of live attendance. So I will say that it's a great hire for All Elite Wrestling. I wish Kosha the best. I think he's going to do fantastic work over in AEW. I think there was a little bit of a mess that he had to clean up. I'm glad that he is sorting through that. And again, I think it's a very smart move by Tony. He's trying to change some things, I believe. And I think this is part of that step or steps. And I think All Elite Wrestling will see the residuals from Kosha because it's a good hire. It really is.
Yeah, you got to give Tony some credit. He's brought in Kosha Irby, out with the old, in with the new. We have Mercedes, Will Ospreay, and Okada now in. The pillars of AEW have vastly changed since the year 1 to year 5 dynamic. And he brought in Jennifer Peppermint to have a Hollywood Academy Award winning, whatever, writer. Mm-hmm. And she's there with the company now, and she's adding a different dynamic, not only to the women's division, but overall in general for AEW. He's made those changes, and a lot of people still are hard on him. But I don't think you're watching the shows if you're still shitting on AEW, because there's no way you can actively shit on the show coming out of Revolution over the past 3 weeks. They've been tremendous shows. And everything has mattered. Everything has flowed. I think it's been some of the best television they've ever produced, and I hope that continues tomorrow. And I've said, whatever they've done for the last 3 weeks, it needs to be the groundwork and the blueprint for how Dynamite needs to be booked. Now, only if they actually listen to both of us and split the fucking rosters and give us a dedicated roster on Saturday and a dedicated roster on Wednesday, I think we'll be in business, honestly.
Yeah. Time will tell with that. But again, great hire. I truly believe that AEW is trying to change some things, and we'll see what happens. But it's like I said, it's a great hire. And to your point, the roster split would be great.
Yeah.
Don't know if we get there, but it would be great.
Guys, that's all we got as far as the wrestling news tonight. We appreciate you hanging out with us for this great discussion here on Tuesday Night Titans, episode number 41. We're going to get into your super chats in just a second. But please, if you have not done so, follow us both on social media at JD from NY206, at Andrew Baydala on X. Please hit that thumbs up. We're looking at 50 more likes for the big 1,000. So thank you guys very much. Continue to hit that subscribe button down below. We are about 300 subscribers away from 157,000. So thank you.
If you guys haven't, make sure you do like and subscribe. But if you guys haven't checked out the Dark Side of the Ring season this season, it's been really, really good. I believe Brutus the Barber Beefcake is on right now. Make sure you guys check them out. Also, go check out the A&E stuff that WWE's putting out, because it's also fantastic.
Yeah, I think, what did I watch recently? I watched the Randy Orton one in full. That was a great one.
Very good. Yeah, the DDP one's good. The Bulldog one is fantastic. The rivalry between Triple H and Rock's good, and the Shawn Michaels Undertaker one, it's really good. It really is.
Some good stuff there. So yes, guys, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you go out and get your tailgate tickets for both nights, but we will be on night 2 or day 2 for WrestleMania inside the parking lot of Lincoln Financial Field. There'll be a great time to be had there, so make sure you guys go do that. Drew and I will be in and around Philadelphia all week doing a few different things, so hopefully we run into you guys. It's going to be a great time. And please also go check out everything else on the channel. I will be live again Wednesday night for the great AEW Dynamite show that should be tomorrow night live on YouTube. Michael
Taker, Hall of Fame,
yeah. Yep.
Hall of Fame, WWE World, WrestleCon, Saturday and Sunday.
There you go.
WrestleMania.
Michael Krause with the $2 Super Chat. Good Tuesday, JD and Drew. Hope you guys had a good day. Thank you, Michael. It was a good day. Gabriel Boss, let me know, Drew, or let me guess, Drew, after the punishment Cody took at the hands of The Rock, now you think Cody wins on night 1, but will still lose to Roman on night 2? No. That's not what he thinks.
Nope.
Not what he thinks, Gabriel. Francis Loop with a $5 Super Chat. I did a test. Looks like I can send a Super Chat on Tuesdays now. I have been watching every week since it came out, and you guys are killing it. Francis, we're happy to have you here, brother.
Thank you.
What's Happening podcast with the $2 Super Chat. To my inspirations for starting my own podcast. There you go.
Appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Lord J with a $5 Super Chat. Was watching WrestleMania 10. Amazing ladder match, but didn't understand why Diesel was ejected from ringside. There are no rules in the ladder match. Well, I think it was because Diesel interfered in every other match Shawn Michaels had before that, and it's the reason why he kept the title, and they wanted it to be a fair match. Just my
you gotta remember also, like, Diesel was Shawn Michaels' big heater, which is a term in the wrestling business where it's like his big like muscle, and they needed him to get away from that because how does Shawn lose with Diesel at ringside?
He doesn't. Ali with a $4.99. Hey JD, imagine Stone Cold did show up at WrestleMania to help Cody Rhodes. Would you have seen him come out to his Disturbed music? I don't know, man. It's a possibility. I mean,
I do want to ask you though, JD. Will you be okay with Cody winning the championship if we get all this outside interference?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, the bloodline rules calls for it. No.
Yeah, that's why I think they announced that type of match.
Ali, thank you, brother. Michelle with the $2 Super Chat. If Cody wins the title, who is his next challenger? Like Drew said, I think we are headed towards Cody versus the Bloodline still, and then Cody versus Rock at SummerSlam. Ben with a new membership. Ben Callanan, new membership. Thank you, Ben. Susan Grace with 29 months. JD and Drew, just wanted to say how much I love TNT, and you're both intelligent about pro wrestling. Today, 4 years ago, my father passed on. Susan, we appreciate you greatly, and thoughts and prayers to your family.
Sorry to hear about your loss about your father so many years ago, and thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that.
Michelle with a $2 Super Chat. How do you think Rock-Roman split starts? You know what, Michelle? I'm not going to answer that because I don't really want to see it start right now ahead of WrestleMania or before or after WrestleMania, rather immediately after. I think we're going to have big business with the bloodline still intact, fighting and WWE battling to rid themselves of the bloodline. I think that's where the money is. Chaotic with a $1.99. If Cody wins, he is on SmackDown. Yes, he is. Clone Force with a $1.99. Dom and Santos versus Rey and Andrade at WrestleMania. Probably. Andrade hasn't really done much of anything since coming in, so, I mean, he would be heatless going into that match, but I don't see them leaving Santos off the WrestleMania card either, so you're probably correct, yes.
And don't get it twisted. As soon as we start to hit September and October, probably, I would say August and September, truthfully, Raw is the A show, and you'll see it.
Yeah. MGM with a $9.99. Drew, could you see WrestleMania in 2 different cities for night 1 and night 2 in the future? And also, last night showed me we need Brian as head writer. Show sucks when he's not there if we are being real.
So, I stayed away from this question on Twitter. I think you wrote it to me there, X, because realistically, I don't want to put that out into the universe because I definitely could see it. The thing that I could see the most would be night 1 in the States and night 2 overseas. The only problem with that is that it would be really tough to sell a crowd to go to night 1 in said city and state and not be able to see night 2 in the same said city and state because realistically, or country, because realistically it's like, okay, take a look at this year's WrestleMania. You get the tag match, and let's just say the United States got The Rock on night 1, but you don't get The Rock on night 2, and you don't get the world or the Undisputed Championship or the World Championship. A lot of people will be pissed off at that. So it's a logistical nightmare.
Yeah. And then Brian Gowert says, head writer. Come on, man. I mean, Brian writes for The Rock and only The Rock. So I don't know why you want to make him head writer when Triple H has his own writing team.
Yeah, I mean, no. But I will say this, too, to your WrestleMania point. Could I see them doing something where, like, night 1 is in Minneapolis and night 2 is in Milwaukee or Chicago or something like that? Driving distance? Yes, I could see that.
Setsuka with a $4.99. Was it me or did last night's Raw feel like a pilot for Netflix? Just the energy and vibe of the show was different from on. Jump was really an all-timer. I don't know if it was a season premiere or a pilot for Netflix, but yeah, I hope that's what the energy is when we do move to Netflix eventually, yes.
I think WWE said, let me show you how daddy walks.
Yeah. Now listen, I love it. Indigo with 39 months. Thank you, brother. Hi, JD and Drew. Much respect. It's my birthday. I made it to 39 months. By the way, you easily had the best Raw review last night. As always, my favorite podcast. Indigo, thank you, brother. And happy birthday, man. Let me see some birthday cake emojis in the chat for my guy, Indigo.
Happy birthday.
Chaotic, $1.99. Do you guys see Cena and Austin helping Cody at Mania? Yes, we do. Demeter Bullion Doggy from Finland in Straya Doggy, $7.99. Bebe Dalla, what your thoughts on Usos hugging and kissing it out after their match at Mania? Rusty the 414 looks like Bebe the man. You the man too, JD. Drill bit. So what I got out of that, bro, is what do you think of Jimmy and Jay making amends at the end of their match at WrestleMania? Is that a possibility?
Word. You heard? Word.
Fujins with a 23 months. He says, cheers with 2 beer emojis. Thank you, Fujins. Tony Brown with a $4.99. JD, you are the final boss in the IWC. Well, you and Drew, too, are awesome young men. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you calling me young. Thank you.
Miles, well, you're younger than me. Miles with a $4.99. I always hear the debate on who Mr. WrestleMania is. So instead, I ask you both, who would you consider Mrs. WrestleMania? That's a very good question. Mrs. WrestleMania?
Becky Lynch.
Becky?
I think so.
Bianca's undefeated.
All right, so then there you go. I'd go, all right, Bianca.
I don't know, man. I don't want to say Charlotte, but Charlotte's had bangers at WrestleMania.
Oh boy, had she ever?
You know, I don't know. It's a good
Becky
one.
Lynch has had 7 matches at WrestleMania, and 5 of them are for the World Championship.
Could be. Yeah, Becky's a good one. Pete Cruz with the $1.99. Can I be my son to the tail? What? I don't know what the fuck that means, Pete. What are you saying, bro? Jamel Turney with a $4.99. Do you guys think we ever see Bruce Buffer cross over for WWE? Is he still doing his thing?
Bruce Buffer, of course. It's time. Yes.
Oh, that's his son, Bruce Buffer. He's the UFC guy right now, right?
Yeah, not Michael Buffer.
Yeah, Mike. That's who I'm thinking. Michael Buffer. Yeah, Bruce Buffer. Yeah, absolutely.
Not the Rated Rumble guy.
Yeah. Arrangements with a $9.99. Is it weird that Bianca doesn't have a set match for Mania with only 3 shows left? Do y'all think they pivoted from another planned match, or is it just bad booking? Arrangements. Jade Cargill's showing up on Friday. You'll get Bianca's match then. It's not going to be against Jade. It's going to be a tag team match against Damage Control. Lewis with a $4.99. Stop by the Cigar Lounge before Taker's show. Guys, drinks on me. If you need parking, I have 2 spots. You can have 1.
We'll be there.
We may be walking over. It's not too far from where we're staying.
Yeah, definitely not driving.
No.
Thank you.
David M. with 2 $20 super chats. Last night's ending was basically Rock throwing Austin over the bridge in 1999, version 2. It's become clear to me that Triple H took the best of Vince McMahon Russo era and removed the nonsense. That's how he is running this show. It's a good observation, David. Can't really say anything is wrong with your comment. Last night's, he repeated the same thing twice. I'm not sure if that was by design, David, but thank you. Paul Van Tassel with a $20 super chat. This is a theory I had. What if the Bloodline takes both Seth Rollins and Jey Uso after their matches to prevent them from helping Cody Rhodes? Then both John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin come out to help Cody Rhodes.
I like it.
It's a possibility. Anything's a possibility, man. They're going for cinema, so that's exactly what they're going for.
I like it.
Miranda Cosgrove with a $4.99. Final boss Rock entrance gave me goosebumps. All the kids were screaming for the final boss. At this point, Roman Reigns needs to win more than Cody. No, he doesn't. But I am concerned Roman looks like an afterthought, though. Ricky Cornflakes with a $4.99. I'm literally shaking, JD and Andrew. How could Jumanji beat up Cody Rhodes? I don't know what to tell you, Ricky.
Yeah,
go enjoy a bowl of cornflakes, man. It'll be all right. Justin Turner with 23 months. No message. Thank you, Justin. El Mulato with a $1.99. Dustin's AEW deal expires in September.
Well, thanks.
All right. He'll be in attendance, but not on camera. Deontay Smith with a $5 super chat. If Cody wins the championship at WrestleMania 40, do you guys see him dropping the title to The Rock at SummerSlam to set up Rock versus Roman's feud? No, The Rock versus Roman doesn't need the championship.
Here, I'll paint this picture for you. Rock and Roman, non-title. Cody Randy, championship.
There you go. Zero Kaibo with 23 months. At the end of the Avengers, all the superheroes come to support Captain America. Cody against Thanos, The Rock. WWE's definitely inspired by it. There you go.
There you go.
Tron EST with a $4.99. Been following since 2017. The best podcast around, guys. I'll be at Night 2's tailgate to check out the show. Real stoked. Keep it up, y'all. Can't wait. Thank you, Tron. We look forward to seeing you, brother.
Look forward to seeing you.
Edward Otis with a $1.99 for the tip jar that wasn't directed towards you. Thank you, Edward. Vinny with a $4.99 times 2. Next Money in the Bank has to go through start to make it important again. Personally, McIntyre is their best they got going right now. He's been incredible. And my problem with Dwayne is out of the 4 of them, he's the only one that can be edgy and curse up a storm. Just makes him cooler by default. It's not fair. Oh, Drew said, don't fuck with Dwayne Johnson. That's what happened.
Told you guys, don't do it.
H posts with a $5 super chat. Think they are planning Cody vs. Rock for SummerSlam with their recent build seemingly being between Cody and Rock. Take my money for the match. H posts. Absolutely. Chaotic with a $1.99. Cody, get your Alice Cooper on. Black hair again. Oh, man. Imagine that. Hollywood guy with a 10. If WrestleMania comes to Minneapolis, do you see special appearances for Brock Lesnar? I'm hearing he might be coming back, but who knows? I'm liking WWE bringing back TV wrestling locations.
Maybe. I mean, I think Brock can go into the Hall of Fame. I mean, I think WWE and TKO is
staying away
pretty
from
much,
that?
Yes, they're pretty much separating themselves from Brock Lesnar right now. We'll see.
MGM 97 with a $1.99. Trick Williams is a future superstar. Yes, he is. He just got to tie it together in the ring, and he's got it going on. Michelle Moran with a 2. With Gable coaching Sammy, think Gunther still wins? Absolutely. Remember, we talked about this last week, guys. Gunther was planned against Lesnar, and he was planned to beat Lesnar. So I'm not assuming the plans are changing anytime soon. H posts with $5 super chat. When Chicago gets a new stadium, WrestleMania there in 5 years, the Bears are moving out to the Hoffman Estates, from my understanding. Is that true?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I don't know. Well, I could look that one up. I don't know about that.
Billy with a $5 super chat. Hey, JD and Drew, great show. Is it true Finn Balor is a free agent after WrestleMania? That was the report months ago. I don't know how true that is now, Billy. But I don't see Finn Balor going anywhere.
So the lease on Soldier Field with the Bears runs through the 2023 season, but they could break the lease in 2026. I just don't see it.
Vincent Moore with a $5 super chat. I don't know if it's a work or not, but Rich Holland said tonight on NXT that he's retiring from in-ring competition. Okay. I guess we'll find that out as the days go on. I think it might be a storyline, but who knows? Miranda Cosgrove with a $1.99. Attitude Era had the best tag teams in history. Did they?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'd say
Hardy's, Dudley's, Edge and Christian, for sure. APA. Absolutely.
Basic, thank you for your comment earlier that we read during the Goldberg segment of the show. I appreciate you for the 20. The David Podcast Show, Ashley and Jason with a $9.99. No message. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate you being here. Miranda Cosgrove with a $1.99. Tony Khan turns MJF face. AEW is 2009 TNA. Let's not downplay how great MJF was as a face. He was very good at what he did, but he's a better heel. We all understand that. Anthony, $4.99. When WWE is on Netflix, do you think it's a glimpse of what Raw could be fluctuating between PG through TV 14, or should they stay PG or only TV 14? I think, like Drew said, Anthony, we're going to see a little bit more risque television for AEW. Oh, no, for WWE. AEW is already risque television, but WWE can certainly use it for sure.
Yeah, and, that's why Netflix offered what they offered to WWE, because they could get Dwayne, and Dwayne could say, no, we're going to make this a little bit more like adult friendly.
Yeah.
So
Milwaukee Braves with a $9.99. I really need to become a member. I've been here for mostly all the streams for years. Now, all the best to you both. Looking forward to this final push towards Mania. Milwaukee Braves, thank you very much. Love the name. John Lamy with a 5. Great show as always, guys. OTS for life. Thank you. John Dretty with a 2. Better elbow drop, HBK or Macho Man? Macho Man. Come on.
what?
Macho Man had a better elbow drop.
Then Sean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chef Joss with the pot with a $4.99. Just purchased my tailgate ticket. Excited. Will there be a new Bloodline member in Night 2's main event? First of all, Chef, thank you. I don't think we see new Bloodline members until after Mania.
There you go. Thank you for purchasing a ticket for the tailgate. Can't wait to see you.
Demeter, thank you for the $2.99, brother. Clone Force with a $4.99. Andrew, your thoughts on Drew and Paul talking backstage during Miz and Truth's segment last night? I predicted weeks ago that he will get involved in Night 1.
He might, and that might bleed into Night 2. I'm not quite sure, but who knows? That's why we watch the show.
Demeter, thank you for the $1.99 again. Kal-El, $5 super chat. Great show as usual, and want to give prayers to Baltimore's tragedy. Mustangs rule. Yes, that was terrible, and I watched that clip over and over and over again today. It's just mind-boggling what the fuck happened there. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Thoughts and prayers to the city of Baltimore.
Avery Johnson, $1.99. Who goes over in a triple threat for the U.S. title? I'm going Logan Paul.
I'm going to go Randall.
Ben Callanan with a 10. Hey, JD Drew, I've been going through some things mentally. Just wanted to say, watching your podcast really cheers me up. Thank you to both of you. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Whatever you're going through, trust me, you're stronger than whatever you're dealing with, and you'll get through it.
Amy with a $50 super chat. I have been living in my new place for 2 months. Congratulations, Amy. And we are happy that you are joining us here tonight on TNT. Thank you for the 50.
Congratulations.
Adam, $6.99. I could see Cody Roman finish similar to the tag title main event last year. Cody will definitely salvage the moment when he delivers the third Crossroads. Ali, $4.99. Hey, JD, when did your Monday Night Raw review yesterday night? Did you see in the background Paul Heyman was talking to Drew? Yes, I did, Ali. I didn't really think much of it last night, but I like the little Easter eggs to get us even excited about little side stories. It's like a sub-quest in a little video game. I like it. Avery Johnson, $1.99. Raw after Mania going to cook. Debuts, returns, yeah. I think this year Triple H is really going to bring back, after last year's debacle, the real feeling of Raw after Mania. And one more, man. Playboy Borby with a $4.99. Love the analysis of Ricochet having a chance to be WWE's version of Ospreay if done right from yesterday's live stream. He's got it. He's got it in him. Will's a better promo, but whatever Ospreay could do, Ricochet could do for Triple H. I don't know why they haven't utilized that, but I don't know. Anyway, man, we're about to get out of here. Any parting words before I hit the end credits here?
I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Can't wait to see y'all in Philly. Again, sorry, no TNT next week on Tuesday, but we're working to get it done on Thursday. And like I said, can't wait to see everybody in Philadelphia and at the tailgate. And as always, I'm humbled by the love and support, so thank you.
Thank you guys very much for a great episode 41. We will keep you updated on next week's show, episode 42. Stay tuned to the socials, man. At JD from NY206 and at Andrew Baydala on X. Hit that subscribe button, and please continue to hit that thumbs up. We will see you next week live from Philadelphia for WrestleMania week. We'll see you guys later.